And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, race fans, to another round of the Bandit Racing League presented by Full Send Racing Network. We are back for your usual Wednesday night festivities here at the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway here for another traditional intermediate style oval race here. These races that always produce such great pack-to-pack battles, always close finishes. I feel like any tri-oval we've gone to this season or in the past couple of years has been, without fail, one of the best races of the year. So we should be in for a good show tonight, folks. We just want to, as always, thank our sponsors, Perfect Shot Auto Spa, right off the bat, as being one of our title partners of the series, as well as Apex Sim Racing, your place for all quality sim racing accessories and gear. Go check out using our link in the description below. And with that, we are ready to go for tonight's race here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Hi, everybody. I am Marshall Crocker, as always, your producer, your founder here for Full Send Racing Network. You're really everything nowadays as far as it comes to production here in the Bandit Racing League coverage presented by Full Send Racing Network. And as always, I am joined by Mr. Chris Ferreira. We have the results here for practice up above my head, scrolling along as we speak. But here we go. Geezer Authentics 125 at Atlanta. Another really fun race last week. And we come into this week with 5 different winners in the last 5 races. Now we're at a track that I think is going to appeal to the veterans well. Atlanta's going to be a track where tire wear is key, just conservation in general, just big picture driving. And I think, Chris, that sort of racing will appeal to the drivers who have won in the last 5 races. So wouldn't be surprised if we see a repeat winner. But how do you see tonight's festivities going? What's your take on that debate?
I mean, I always like to kind of focus on the track and where we're at for the week. So with that being said, this is the old version of Atlanta. Atlanta in real life just recently got repaved 2 years ago, where it's more of a super speedway style track. Now this is the old version of the track that iRacing so luckily scanned for us. So this track is very abrasive. It's very bumpy. Sometimes as the tires wear out, the car will want to just spin around on you going down the straightaway. So it's a very difficult to handle racetrack. It appears to me that we are doing the high horsepower, low downforce package. I'd have to go back and confirm that. I can do that in a minute. But nonetheless, if that is the case, the car is going to be a handful to drive. That'll be kind of similar to what we saw last week, right? So Dover was a concrete track. It eats the tires a lot. So the handling went away really quick. Guys were having to search around for grip, and you're going to see that here tonight. You're going to see guys searching all over the track, going through multiple lanes to try and keep as much grip as they can in the car and keep that momentum up. So that's what I'm looking forward to see here tonight. This is kind of any person's game. I have to check the package that we have on the car. Yeah, I mean, expect your usual contenders up front, but there's a couple names in here that I have my eyes on so far that are looking like they're pretty quick.
Well, I think now we'll get a chance here, at least an opportunity, as we see a little pre-race practice crash here as guys start to mess around. We saw Terry Condis just got absolutely plowed into by another driver. But we're going to take a quick look here at the championship standings coming out of last week's race before we look into tonight and try to make some inferences about who could be finding success. Here are your current championship standings for season 11 of the Bandit Racing League. Right now, your points leader, Nick Nickerson, at the top of the leaderboard for GFR Racing, 291 points to his name, just ahead of Curtis Yancey and Christopher Hamilton, 2 drivers who currently sit winless so far on the season, but sit at 261 and 256 points apiece. Then we got Ricky Hart Jr. and Connor Gibson rounding off the top 5, with Brett Guzik, the big mover of last week, winning in last week's event at Dover, so he'll move himself up a whopping 5 positions all the way up to 6. He was outside the top 10 and now has suddenly kind of resurrected his season here, Chris. So those are the big names in the front of the field, as well as Mike Wright and Ashley Lyle, who makes the return tonight. They both sit at the top of within the top 10 still, despite having missed a couple races, but both winners early on in the season. So I think we would agree here, Chris, just looking at the standings, I think Connor Gibson is absolutely a name that maybe the fact that he's still in the top 5, I think says a ton for Young Guns Motorsports. He's kind of been the leader of that group, and we talk about it a lot behind the scenes, but just for the broadcast, incredible season so far for the young Canadian.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at year-over-year performance, he has definitely shown the biggest gain so far this year. I mean, 6 races in, he's still hanging tough up there, and it's really good to see. He puts in a lot of work, and it's good to start seeing that pay off. So, yeah, kudos to him. Hanging out in the top 5 still, and let's see if he can keep that going all the way into the playoffs.
Move down a little bit further in the order here. We see some names that are tied here in these kind of mid-pack battles. You see 2 drivers at 177 points, those being Hunter Henry and Kevin Foster, and then the battle at 165, we had a 3-way tie here. that was broken when Trey Ellis received a bonus point. So it's Trey Ellis, Chad Eldridge, and Terry Condis all sitting there in the battle for the 20s. So it's really tight in the mid-pack. That's a lot of different seasons, too. That's guys that have run the entire season, have picked up steady points, or that's drivers who have had a really good performance in a couple races, but have maybe missed a couple or had some early crashes. This has been kind of the storyline of the season. So really great battles. Curious to know where your favorite drivers are here in that list. And as always, if you were here supporting a particular driver here on the Full Send Racing Network coverage of the Bandit Racing League, let us know in the chat. We always like to mention it in the interviews with said drivers, and always a really cool opportunity to see who is supporting who and from where. So be sure to mention that here in the YouTube chat. But as we scroll down the rest of the list, you see all 48 drivers that have been classified in a Bandit Racing League race this year, rounded off with Caden Bailey sitting at 17 points. So with that, yeah, I think generally speaking, Chris, tonight I think is going to be another in a long line of really good races we've had since, I'm trying to think. I mean, Sonoma was kind of the race that broke it up. Obviously, a road course is always a little bit different for the Bandit Racing League here, but I don't think we've really had any dominant cars the way we have in the past. At this point, season number 10, it was Benjamin Lacy and Nick Nickerson trading it back and forth each week, whereas this year, I'm actually curious. I'll leave this to you, Chris, especially the last few races considered, or maybe even just the first 6 races of our season so far. Who do you see as the dominant car that maybe has put themselves in, at least in other drivers' heads, as a potential championship contender or championship winner for season 11?
It's really tough because I would say Ashley Lyle has really shown up, and she's been competitive up front. So is Mike Wright. They've both been very competitive and been up front for the majority of a bunch of these races, but they haven't been here every single week. So it's really hard to say. Obviously, Brett going out and winning the way he did last week, I think that kind of sets a standard going into the next couple races here. So we'll have to see how that plays out for him. But yeah, those 2 drivers stand out to me because I feel like they can come in and win a race whenever they want. I don't know if that kind of makes the rest of the field more worried, or it kind of helps them forget about that they're even there. So that's an interesting dynamic as we head into the playoffs. But those 2 certainly for sure. And another guy that I've just been I want to know what's going on in his head is Benjamin Lacy, because he's been fast every single week, but he's getting just the wrong end of the stick here every single week. He looks fast tonight, so we'll have to see how it works out for him again. But yeah, man, he's hurting in points right now. He's not where he should be, but he has fast cars, so we'll have to see how that plays out for him.
Yeah, I think we'd have to say so far this year, Benjamin Lacy, probably the biggest surprise, not just based on pedigree prior to this year, but based on pace. To see Benjamin Lacy being as relatively, he's doing decently well on the points still, but yeah, to be winless on the ledger so far this year, quite a surprise. And I think that'll take us to the best topic of conversation here as we finish up in pre-race qualifying, get ready to go for tonight's, pre-race practice, get ready for qualifying here in tonight's Geezer Authentics 125. But Chris, I'm going to throw it to you. We didn't get a chance to make the official graphic for tonight, but as far as race picks, who are you going with? Who are you feeling at Atlanta? Who do you think the tire conservation style of racing will suit well?
Oh man, yeah, I'm starting to not like doing these, but it worked for the last guy that you brought up here. I'm gonna go with it because I feel like it's his night again. He had a really good performance last week. I'm going with Ricky Hart.
Ooh, there you go. Looking for to become the second multi-race winner of the season so far. Yeah, Ricky Hart Jr. This is the kind of racetrack that will appeal to him well. When I think of guys that are good at the mile and a halves, I think Ricky, one of the first guys that jumps to mind. I like that pick, and he was quick again, relatively quick last week. He was kind of in that second tier of drivers, aside from the dominant top 3 of Brett Guzik, Cody Welch, and Curtis Yancey that were pretty quick, just maybe not quite top of the leaderboard level pace. I'm actually going to go with a guy, I think the guy that you picked last week for Dover, and I think Dover may be a little bit better in the conventional sense of a track for the guy I'm picking, that being Benjamin Lacy. But yeah, I think the 7 car just... It's been a consistent year. It's been very similar to Brett, where he flies under the radar until he gets that big win, and I could see that narrative really shifting for him tonight. And I think these guys, especially that have the talent but are getting hungrier for it, I think when they see racetracks in the calendar that they feel confident and they feel that they can find a way to win, I think they put in a little bit more practice. I think there's truth to that they get a little bit more excited. They circle a race on the calendar and then really go out there to try to win it. I think Ricky did it a few weeks back at... I'm already forgetting. It's been such a busy season. No, Ricky getting his win a few weeks back, and that was at Kansas. I think it's going to be the same thing for Benjamin this week. I think it's going to be a really good night for him. And we're seeing here in qualifying live, Curtis Yancey top of the board as we ride around with him here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. We see Michael Ramos up there to second. Michael making his return to the series last week in that 27 car. Has been fast in qualifying in the past. Actually made a couple appearances here in the YouTube chat the last couple weeks. But now, top of the board, Flushing, Michigan native, the one that I know a lot of people are here for. Cody Welch, top of the leaderboard. Lyle in fourth. But there he is. Chris, I mean, Nick is back. Top of the board. Almost ties Cody. Almost to the 1,000th of a second. But is just barely pitting out by Brett Guzik. So the usual names at the top of the leaderboard here, but Paul Wilson back and forth. That 86 car, what a season it's been. Finds himself in the top 5 in qualifying early once again.
Yeah, really fast last week. He had a little bit of trouble that, he got into the wall a little bit here and there, but he was able to rebound all night, keep that car up front, and he came away with a good finish. So it's good to see this car having some speed as of late.
We're going to ride around here with Trey Ellis, actually, just to get a sense of the track layout and see what drivers are dealing with here at what I would consider, Chris, one of the tougher tracks in the calendar. I think Atlanta, the old Atlanta, to clarify, they've recently repaved and remodeled Atlanta into basically a super speedway of sorts that is foot to the floor, creates some interesting pack racing, but definitely a very different style than the old tire-churning here at Atlanta. But as we hit through the corners here again, you're going to start seeing how quickly he washes up. I mean, Trey's even washing up to the outside here, as you can see on the front nose cam, even on lap number 2 of qualifying, on very fresh tires. So it's going to be brutal. And as somebody who's, I'm sure, has run here many times before, if not in Bandit here, Chris, just how long can those tires usually hold out before you're holding on for dear life, trying to avoid the outside wall?
Oh man, if you're pushing, it feels like maybe like 3 or 4 laps sometimes. But I think that the more challenging part is the tires do fall off as they do everywhere else. It does fall off a lot steeper here because it is to be more abrasive. But the bumps on this track, there's so many bumps, and each one of them upsets the car just enough. And you can avoid some, but some of them you can't. It's manipulating those bumps to kind of help your car handle a little bit better, or just to make sure it doesn't upset your car. Is really key. I mean, just going down the back stretch and going through the front stretch, the tri-oval there, sometimes you can spin out just going through there. So it is a very difficult racetrack, I will say that.
Going to be interesting to see what it does for the actual racing product once the bigger packs get out there and guys are trying to hold on to the car while staying 2 wide, maybe even 3 wide. I remember we had a really good race here a few seasons back, so would not be surprised if we see a little bit more of that tonight, as we see Ricky Hart Jr. only going to go 11th here. Kind of a surprise to see, not that there wasn't pace there. I mean, he's down by just over 1/10 of a second. He's fast. He's not far off. It's just, I think that should illustrate just how close this field is going to be tonight here at Atlanta. And again, I think it's a track that will appeal to a lot of different drivers here in this series. No matter your background, Atlanta is a long-time fixture here on the calendar. It's a relatively traditional oval shape, perhaps not the actual track layout and the racing surface itself, but I think this is going to be a really, really good one. I hope you guys are ready for 125 laps here at a track that takes, as you can see on the qualifying leaderboard, just over half a minute each. So tonight's race should be in for about 60 to 90 minutes, somewhere in and around there, depending on our number of cautions. So stay tuned, folks. We're going to have a good night of racing for you. But now, as we get ready with qualifying coming to an end, let's go into your Perfect Shine Auto Spa starting lineup, starting with our pole sitter for the 3rd time this season, leading the series. Let's pull him up here once he hops on the racetrack. We are just getting ready to call him in. He's just going to wait a minute. So here we go. We'll put up the, there we go. He's now joined us on the racetrack. There is your starting grid for tonight's race here at Atlanta Motor Speedway for the Geezer Authentics 125. It is Brett Guzik on the pole, starting alongside Sean Britt for Britt Racing, who will bring that 98 car onto this front row to start a race, I believe, for the 2nd time this season. So really, really good result for both of those guys. Nick Nickerson for GFR Racing on row 2, sneaking into the top 5 once again. Has not been on the front row in a few weeks, though. Wait to see when he can return there. Cody Welch on his outside. Obviously, long-time rivalry between these two gentlemen, who were 1-2 a couple seasons back for the season number 8 championship. Then we got Paul Wilson in 5th, rounding out the top 5, alongside another good result from GFR Racing, teammate of the two guys in the, or actually just Nick ahead of him. I should say that is Christopher Hamilton, a really good season for him so far. They are 2nd and 3rd in the points is Christopher and Curtis Yancey, who starts on the inside of row number 4. Then Benjamin Lacy in the number 7 car, my pick for tonight's race, ends off row number 4. Michael Ramos then starts alongside Ashley Lyle, and that'll round off your top 10. Going to to keep it going here into Ricky Hart Jr., who will start on the inside of row number 6. Alongside him is Benny Hogan, who's always pretty good at these intermediate racetracks. And the number 5 car will do it once again tonight, starting in 12th. Jackson Knock rolls off in the 00 alongside Peter Murphy Jr. on row number 7. Then we go with Trey Ellis, going to be starting alongside Kevin Foster, the GFR Racing veteran, who was actually 3rd quickest in pre-race practice. We'll see if that pace kind of transitions over to the proper 125-lap festivities. We got Terry Condis after that, running the number 32 race car, alongside Mark Allen Bivens in the 76. Hunter Henry rounds off the top 20 alongside David Lacy, starting in the number 84. In 21st position, we got Joshua McQuiggan making his return. I believe we haven't seen him in a few weeks. He starts alongside Jason Greenwell there on row number 11. It's Haggy and Crockett going to be taking up the 23rd and 24th spots, respectively. And to cap off tonight's grid, we got Connor Gibson sitting 5th in points, but starting 25th in tonight's race. We will get his racing team fixed. He has joined Ignite RC instead of Young Guns Motorsports. That will be fixed going forward. But the JCRCE driver for Hayden Paula, also Ignite RC nowadays. Then Nolan Gross and Bill Harkins will round off your field for tonight's race. 28 cars we've got here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. A pretty decent field size. Should make for some competitive racing all throughout the order. And we're ready to go here, Chris. Any final thoughts? What are you expecting here in these first couple laps? Thinking green flag sit for a little bit, or are you expecting chaos right off the gun?
I'm saying if they go green for the first 5 laps, I think we'll see a green flag run. But as our good buddy would say, cautious do breed caution. So when you start mixing up tire strategies here, it's going to make a mess.
Yeah, that'll be the question. We'll see if Evan Wall's immortal words happen to ring true tonight. We are ready to go here, folks. 125 laps of racing on the docket here at Atlanta. Green flag for the start of the Geezer Authentics 125 here at Atlanta. Brett Guzik brings it to the green, but Sean Britt not giving him any room off the bat. Really good jump for the 98 car, and the 2 pushes Brett into corner number 1.
Yeah, those 2 really hooked up really nicely there. Give the 04 a nice push going down the back straight away. The 15 car just off the pace there, down below the yellow line, or the white line rather. It was the 45 of Ashley Lyle. But she's back on the 98 is making a hard charge, coming for first position, the inside of the 04 car.
Yes, indeed. Going to go to the inside. Got the crossover to work off of 4. Sean Britt, 1 lap in. The 98 car will lead the first lap of tonight's race. Here comes Cody Welch now to the bottom. 3 wide. First time we've gone through turn number 2. 3 wide, and it will not be the last tonight. The 85 car going to get the jump there, move up into the 2nd spot to try to go chase down Britt. The 2 car will go with him. And just like that, Chris, the 04 car of Brett Guzik slipping backwards. And this is not the first time we've seen a pole sitter have trouble this year.
Yeah, you're going to get used to seeing that a little bit tonight. You're not going to see pack racing. As the tires wear out, it will die down a little bit, but at least for the first little while, you're going to see these cars a little bit closer together. You're going to see guys getting shuffled in and out. So, don't be alarmed if you see your driver. As we see the 51 and the 04 car bouncing off of each other here. It's getting dicey, but these guys just got to hang on to it. Guys and girls just got to hang on to it and make sure they're stuff back to the start-finish line. As we see the 85 getting to the inside of the 98 at the start-finish line.
Oh, almost contact there. 85 caught him in the rear left quarter panel, but they managed to keep it straight. Sean Britt is real nice and steady there. We continue without issue down to turn number 1. But yeah, Cody Welch here, a really strong start. He's up to P1. This is what you want to see, and we haven't seen maybe a really good Cody Welch start to a race in a while. He's not one where he's taking the lead and kind of controlled the start of the event. So going to be interesting to watch and see if he's able to hold on and how long this battle lasts. But I was just noticing there, we were talking about the battle a few minutes ago between the 51 and the 04, but it was Michael Ramos giving a big push to the 51. Peter Murphy has gone around. Has he saved it? He has not. We're spinning. We've got a caution here, folks. Caution number 1 to start off tonight's race. You got to think as several drivers spun around. Actually, no caution as of yet. We are still green in tonight's race, so we will keep it locked here for a moment, but incredible to see multiple cars back around. It looks like Peter Murphy's rejoined the racetrack, or is at least trying to, but several cars now off the pace. Let's see if how many we got counted here. I see Bill Harkins is a little bit off tempo. We see Connor Gibson as well. Jackson Knock here is just only getting it back to speed. David Lacy as well, but no caution here, Chris. Fascinating how that went.
Yeah, that was very interesting. We have a bunch of drivers with penalties trying to avoid the wreck. But from what I'm hearing is the wreck was below the line there, and everything was collected below the line off the racing surface, and we get a yellow. So let's stack them back up.
Yeah.
Never mind everything I was saying.
Don't know what that was. That was bizarre. Well, we'll go back to your Apex Sim Racing replay here to see what on earth happened. I'm trying to go back because there was so much that happened after that incident. It's hard to identify where it started. But I saw Peter Murphy. You can see him in the background there. Peter Murphy Jr. going off track. Sorry, the butt kicker racing replay off of the entry to the tri-oval. Just gets loose. You saw him slam the wall there. We had him in the background of one of our camera shots, and then just kind of continued. He collected a couple guys. You see Jackson knock here. So on the top side, you see the 38 car gets kind of caught up in the dirty air a little bit. Just loose. Looks like it takes the air off the nose, and just the car would not pull itself here through the exit of the corner. He catches knock on the way down, but they were actually relatively okay, although somebody further back. Who was that was slip sliding over the racetrack? I think it was Connor Gibson, Bill Harkins, somebody there. Had a pretty impressive kind of dodge there. We'll go back and catch that. But maybe Ricky Hart. It is Ricky Hart Jr. So you see here, he gets tagged by Mark Allen Bivens in kind of a separate incident. I think Bivens a little bit too focused on what was happening with Peter spinning behind him. He caught the one car, but managed to keep it going without much issues. So good job to Ricky Hart Jr. Heads up driving there, and he is pitting as we speak, as a number of drivers are here. Only 8 laps into tonight's event, but there you go. First caution of the race, and Ricky Hart Jr., I believe, saves himself a quick repair.
Yeah, I mean, that's the name of the game tonight. This is obviously very aero dependent, so make sure you get everything fixed up, make sure everything's straight. We're only 8 laps into this deal, so yeah, he'll be all right. He'll rebound from there. But yeah, that was a set of odd circumstances, but we'll move forward from that. It looked like some really good racing up front. That 85 car showing a lot of speed. The 98 showing a lot of speed as well. So yeah, 0-4, probably not the start that he intended to get, but you know, there's probably a lot of guys that said, hey man, you went out and led a bunch of laps last week. It's time for us to get up here and lead some laps. So that 0-4 car will be okay. Sitting there back in 6th position currently.
I think the important guy to mention here, though, as he did have a really great start there, we see Nick kind of faking into the pit road there, trying to get some guys to jump, but not even a single driver moved off the outside wall, so looked like his efforts were in vain. But that LAT Racing Oils number 98 car of Sean Britt, incredible the start to the year he's had. I mean, I've been so impressed. I talked to him a few weeks back on a podcast together. It was really great to kind of get his perspective and just hear that how much confidence he's building in his drives this season and what these results are actually meaning to him. And he recognizes how much faster that car is getting. And I know it was heartbreaking a few weeks back and some of those just incredible finishes we had early in the season to come close but not execute. To see guys like this here, Chris, at the start of the race, get to the front, be able to control the event right off the gun. Usually those guys, if they can avoid wrecks, are there at the end. So I think it's a great sign he's up here, and I would love to see Sean Britt not just get a podium, which I believe would be the first of the year, but get a win would be great to see for the 98 car to make it 6 different winners in 6 races.
Yeah, and I mean, not for nothing. What a shot in the arm of confidence that he's getting right now, being up here, being in control of this race. And, you know, just having this opportunity will lead into others, so hopefully he can keep that going, and let's see what he can do here on this restart. But, yeah, really great performance out of him so far to this season and in this race.
Well, he's going to have a tall task here as the lights in the pace car are off. We'll be starting alongside 2-time series champion Nick Nickerson in that 2 car, who did just barely pit Cody Welch, proud of the caution there a few laps ago. Great jump for Cody, though. 98 car looking good. We were dead even on the front row here on the last start here, the first start of the race. First restart, it's going to be the way on the inside that seems to have the advantage. Cody Welch comfortably underneath the 2 car, and almost looked like he went a little bit too early there, Chris, but managed to gather it up and didn't make contact. Really good start there from Cody, but he might have him down to turn number 3, trying to make the move on 3.
Yeah, 85 car wasting no time. He saw his opportunity. He said, let me get to the front here. Wants that clean air, see if he can get ahead of this 98. He's been showing a really good handle on the car coming the top side of 3 and 4 there. But if you're going to stack 2 Chevrolets up to each other, of the 51 and the 85, those are 2 Chevrolets I want to see linked up together. Those guys are fast together, so let's see what they can do.
Yeah, I would agree. It's both 2 guys that had a lot of pace last week, so don't be surprised to see them find success again. Benny Hogan getting loose. Great save, though, from the number 5. Keeps it facing forwards, and we'll stick with 1 caution in this race so far, but still that battle, the 98 and the 2, the one to watch. Michael Rollins starting to make his progress through the field. He has moved up 2 spots since his last restart, now into 4th, and you just see how packed up guys are getting. I know we've talked about this package all year and how easy it is to run one behind the other and and how the draft really does just suck the cars right up bumper to bumper. But it does create some fascinating racing here, Chris. And I know it creates more incidents, but we see the 7 car in the outside wall. Benjamin Lacy, an uncharacteristic mistake. Maybe just the dirty air caught him out, but did make a little bit of contact with the outside wall into turn number 2. As again, 85 and Cody Welch going to peek down below as he is going backwards.
Yeah, 7 car just said hi to the wall, making sure it's still there. But yeah, that shouldn't upset it too much, but you never really know. Sometimes you get a lot of damage. Sometimes the thing's fine. But one thing I'm really surprised about is that the higher line is really rolling really well right now. You notice the 85 and the 51 have made no progress at all at the bottom. They've actually sunk to the back of the top 10 here. So yeah, the high line is it's coming like a 1-lane racetrack right now. So very interesting to note and see how that works out as the tire run progresses. But the 2 car going to the inside of the 98 for the lead.
Here goes Nick Nickerson here trying to make his first move for the lead of the race. I believe he's led a lap in pretty much every race this entire season, if not every race. So this could be his opportunity to get that streak up to 7 races. Here he comes, side by side again, the 2 in the 98, 2 giving him
85 car on the wall.
Did he indeed? Did he just kiss the wall this time, Chris, or was that pretty bad? We see him, yeah, falling back. Cody Welch down to 12th now.
Looked like a little bit of a pinball effect between the 76 and the 51. Looked like the 85 got a little tight to the inside of the 76 and just nowhere to go. He just started bouncing back and forth in the wall a little bit. Looks like he should be fine. Very minimal contact, but that's a tough break in this run here. It's going to break away this pack.
Buckingham Racing Replay here. We're going to watch Cody Welch and see what happened there to the driver of the number 85. Got made a little bit of contact with Gansey, I think. You see coming off turn number 2 here. Made kind of quarter panel to quarter panel contact. That got him loose. That put him in the wall. So not a driver error there from Cody Welch. Just kind of circumstantial to the guys around him. And the unfortunate part of that is he's going to drop back to the sort of second pack here, led by, from what I can tell, I believe that's Jason Greenwell. So 83 car, good race for him. He's up 14 spots, but he is about a full second back of Mark Allen Bivens ahead, and that's going to leave a huge buffer that can be hard to close. This is really putting pedal to the metal here. Whoa, somebody's around. Michael Ramos is going. The 27 car gets turned off of turn number 2. Again, turn number 2 tonight just seems to be cursed. Caught a quarter panel once again. Somebody got in the back corner of that number 87 car. Or sorry, 27, I should say, and that'll bring out caution number 2. Really good start there for Ramos. Keeps it off the wall, so things could still improve, but yeah, second big caution of the race to start off, and the close racing up front here, Chris, I think is just inherently leading to some contact here that's leading to wrecks.
Yeah, I was actually watching that live because I was trying to see what the end of that pack was going to do there, so they could really get some back in, but yeah, that was just it looked to me like the 27 got a little loose. The 04 car was right there, and you just have no time to kind of check up and get out of the way or make a move. So you just end up kind of tapping the back bumper and sending the guy the rest of the way around. So that's just a tough break. I'm going to say that was a racing incident. I wasn't watching the cockpit cam to see if there was anything different, but that's kind of what I observed to be like. So I'm expecting these guys to hit pit road here, get some fresh rubber on these cars, but couple guys staying out.
Ooh. Yeah.
I love this. I love this. This is my favorite part of racing right here.
Certainly my favorite part of a race like here in Atlanta with the pit strategizing coming into play, because tire wear, again, is one of this track staples. It's what I always knew it as when I was a kid, is the track that burned through rubber like very few others. So here he comes down pit road. Sean Britt, we got Michael Ramos here, who obviously just got in that wreck. Brett Guzik as well is going to come join us. Mark Allen Bivens just exiting pit road here with significant damage to that car. The 76 car looking worse for wear due to that previous incident. Ashley Lyle is down pit road, and there is the aforementioned Michael Ramos. So that'll be your list of guys on pit road who are about to exit off. Looks like it's going to be effectively Jason Greenwell is going to win the race off of pit road. Additionally, Sean Britt is going to get back in his original spot in the at the front of this train, but Jason Greenwell definitely the biggest mover, I believe, jumping up 3 or 4 spots in the line there, and that'll pass the lead off to Nick Nickerson, the lead car who did not pit, did kind of the reverse of the fake he did a few minutes ago, faked like he was going to pit and then didn't. So interesting to see, Chris, the way strategies are shaking out, and I'm curious to leave it to you, the way the race has started, the way we may see more cautions or may not, you never know. But 18 laps in, would you have been pitting for tires there? Would we have seen the number 13 car coming down that time?
It's tough to say because me and Brett are usually on the same team. So I would say probably, because I'd probably been like, oh, man, I can't do this anymore. But just for reference for people at home, the beginning of the race, Brett was running a 35, we'll say, 30 and a half second lap. right before that caution came out, his last lap was 31.5, so a full second slower than the beginning of the run. So that's just going to go to show you how much faster that 04 car is going to be. Now, granted, there's traffic and he has to manipulate the traffic, but those guys that just came in for tires, they're going to be roughly a full second faster than the rest of the field. So that could make for some chaos as well. So you want to manage that. You want these guys to get stuck out here on older rubber, so that way they have to cycle under green, and then you can just keep leapfrogging them all night. So we're going to have to see how that plays out the rest of the race, but yeah, for me, I'm probably putting those tires on.
Well, the question then here for the Rollsville, North Carolina native Sean Britt is how fast can he utilize those new tires and that pace advantage to jump through the field? He's got Bill Harkins, Jason Greenwell right behind him, but he's also got Brett Guzik right up his tailpipe here on the next restart. So you're going to want to keep in mind there'll be some fast cars behind you, but there will be some slower cars in front of you, and it's going to be trying to navigate that and avoiding a wreck that will be the real test here for our extremely talented Bandit Racing League drivers as we get ready to go green. You see here live the view from the number 2 car of Nick Nickerson. We're going to watch him jump here live on the restart. On the gas, you hear the loud pedal, you see the rev limiter climbing, and the 2 car is off here for our second restart of the race here at Atlanta Motor Speedway for the Geezer FedEx 125. The 2 GFR teammates, 1 and 2, Nickerson and Hamilton, did not pit last time by.
Really good advantage for the league tonight on the restarts. It just seems to be that they can just manage getting back to the throttle. When you're getting super stabby on the throttle here, you're probably just going to spin everywhere. So the advantage is going to be a big advantage to the leader. As we see, no advantage to the leader right now with the 15 car looking to the inside of the 2. See if he can make this work.
I think one of the big storylines this season has been guys getting frustrated with the lack of wins, really starting to push, and then finally getting them. This could be the night for both the 7, who's coming up here on the outside for second, but also the 15 of Christopher Hamilton, obviously teammate of Nick Nickerson. He's got to win this year. Christopher does not. Tempe, Arizona native has been on the podium plenty of times in his career, including this season, but has unfortunately not been able to jump up to number 1 here in the standings, let alone the race. So this could be the night for the 15, but starting to drift back and is going to tuck in behind his teammate at GFR Racing, Kevin Foster, up here to 4th, and now Cody Welch starting to tuck in behind. Is Curtis Yancey very quietly quick tonight, but he's had a couple of on-track collisions with drivers. We'll see if that changes here, but he's currently battling it with Kevin Foster for 3rd and 4th as he may go 3 wide here on the middle lane.
Yeah, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I said it does get really tight there. The 15 car just
whoa, contact further back.
Cars bouncing around everywhere.
Connor Gibson, I think, got into Paul Wilson there off the exit of turn number 2 once again. So turn number 2, not the good corner. Here's the wreck. Giant caution coming soon. Connor Gibson there was lucky to be out of the way of this incident, just a few cars behind him. Paul Wilson catches Jason Greenwell, who catches Benny Hogan. A number of drivers involved. Jason Greenwell not going to be particularly happy the way that turned out, but just a huge wreck. I mean, I think we've seen it a couple times now here in this very young race. Guys off of turn number 2, there's a little bit of contact. You know, guys start jostling around, and once the pace switches up just a little bit in that big pack, guys start trying to avoid, and that's when those bad decisions happen that lead to these wrecks.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, it was just once it started, it just kept domino affecting all the way down the other end of the racetrack. So that's a tough break. It's just you start missing your marks, everybody starts checking up, everybody starts losing their mind in the car, and then we have a huge wreck. So yeah, that is a tough break, but it's still early. These guys are still staying out, so that's interesting to me. I mean, it was only another 5 laps, I believe, of green flag racing, but yeah, we have a lot of hungry drivers in this top 10. I know we were alluding to that. I know we just had a little bit of a shake-up with that caution and whatnot, but you know, Terry Condis up here in the top 10. He's 7th right now. I know he had that little bit of a mistake last week at Dover, but he seemed to be rebounding really well here at Atlanta. You know, Trey Ellis is running up here tonight. Connor Gibson, I know we were just talking about him, but he's sitting in 10th right now. So lots of good names up here up at the front, besides our usual set of characters here. But yeah, I mean, Brett has already came back up from the back of the pack to 10th on those fresh tires, or 11th rather. So we'll have to see how much faster he can get back to that lead. I know that Nick is probably just counting down the laps there, just waiting to see how long it takes for Brett to come back.
Yeah, important to note that thus far, at least, none of the GFR Racing drivers have come down pit road. Ricky Hart Jr. there. The small exception, he pitted very early on that first set of I think probably fuel-only stops, you'd have to think. He pitted on lap number 7. So the only driver for GFO Racing that's decided to pit here. I guess those guys just deciding tonight is a bit of a different strategy night. They decide that it's best to just try to draw it out as long as you can, maybe try to prioritize position at the front. Maybe they're thinking it's going to be a more caution-filled race, and typically when you get a lot of yellows, being towards the front is ideal, and as we've seen in this series, a little bit more beneficial, because when you don't have many laps under green, there's not as many opportunities for guys behind to pass you. So not a bad plan here, but one name I do want to talk about, Chris, on the outside of row number 1 here, going to start alongside his teammate, Houston, Texas native Mr. Kevin Foster. Fascinating to see him back up here. It's been an up-and-down season for him, but he's shown pace at this track and others similar in the past, and this year I think he's really looking for that quality performance. Could tonight be the night?
It definitely could be. You know, Kevin shows a lot of speed in pretty much any car he goes in, so it's been very surprising to me to see the kind of performance that we've seen of him as of this point of the season. But you know, maybe like we were talking about with Mr. Britt there, maybe this is the kind of performance he needs, this little bit of confidence boost to help him get back up front and start running with these guys again. So hopefully we'll see this 8 car up front a lot more. I love that paint scheme, so hopefully we can keep talking about him for the rest of the night. But we'll see what happens here on this restart next to his teammate.
Yeah, Clutch Automotive number 8 car, beautiful paint scheme livery. Tonight, we very quickly want to talk about your sponsor for the first time, GeezerAuthentics.com, your place for all things Bandit Racing League merchandise. You want t-shirts, hats, pants, drinking mugs, you want wall hangings, anything you can think of under the sun. Check it out there at GeezerAuthentics.com. We'll talk a little bit more about them in the coming laps, but go check the link in the description to get yourself some awesome swag. All proceeds go back into the driver points fund here in the league. We are green, and Nick Nickerson, confident restart here. I think he's the only guy who's consistently got it down so far tonight. He looks quick, and right now his teammate's getting passed by Benjamin Lacy. The 7 car, again, the beneficiary of that inside line, be just a little bit faster here tonight on the restarts.
Yeah, that inside line is really tricky. I'm kind of watching guys throughout the pack try to manipulate the inside line, and it just seems like no one can really get going down there. So yeah, that's really interesting if we get a green-white checkered here at the end, how that would play.
Well, just as momentum starts to get positive, it then immediately shifts negative again. Kevin Foster going to dip down below the line. Remember, he was about to get passed by Benjamin Lacy a moment ago. Now Lacy's back to 4th, about to get passed for 5th. Or sorry, I should say passing for 3rd, going the other way. But his teammate, Nick Nickerson's teammate, Kevin Foster, I should say, now trying to get this movie stick once again, and I think he may have it this time. Off of turn number 4 into the tri-oval, gets a better run than we've seen. But the problem so far in tonight's race with Chris has been that guys go to the inside, they go down there, and they get stuck. They can't move back up to the outside, and that outside line is certainly more trains by them. So I don't know if there's any tire advantage there for the 8 car on the 2, but if there's not, I think he may want to consider dropping back up into that top line. I think that's what he's exactly about to do.
Yeah, his car probably feels a little bit better towards the bottom. It is tough and a little scary running that top over here. So, yeah, it is probably more beneficial to him to just tuck in line behind the 2. But, I mean, you want to get the lead. These guys are all competitors. So I know he wants to try and just get enough room where he can slide up in front. He just is coming towards that. So, he's getting good runs out of 1 and 2, but not quite enough.
Go. Number 24, all the way on the high side is the 2 car once again. The 8 car going to try the bottom. Looks like Curtis Yancey is gotten by Benjamin Lacy and will be the primary contender here if these guys continue to battle it out for a little bit. Then it's Christopher Hamilton and Cody Welch kind of forming up the single file line that ends with Trey Ellis as he has been side by side with Brett Kuzik here as he is once again here to turn number 1. We might be 3 wide if these guys can catch the 85 cars corner panel into turn number 2, but we cannot. Now make up one once again. Sean Britt trying to find the here. Really awesome racing we see kind of mid-pack here. Gonna jump on board here for a moment with the number 98 car of Sean Britt. Gonna have a really good view here at the battle as we come out of turn number 4, but here we go. New race leader, you finally got that pass to stick. Mr. Kevin Foster takes the race lead and will lead laps for the first time in a few weeks here in the Bandit Racing League.
There you go, Mr. Foster. Take that clean air, take advantage of it, just settle in. And just don't even look at that rearview mirror for a little while. Just kind of relax and enjoy it. So that's what I'd be saying to myself as the 51 car. He's probably looking all over his rearview mirror after that little incident. That was almost pretty big right there. But we drive on, we stay green. As the 98 said, hey, the heck are you guys? I'm coming through. Right through the middle of those guys. Looked like they were standing still.
A lot of guys having really interesting nights here so far. Clearwater, Florida native Curtis Yancey, one of the primary guys on that list. We have a new contender here I want to mention. One of the drivers that took the pit stop on lap 23, the most recent caution, is Joshua McQuiggan. And now the 29 car making that move for second. He's going to fly by Nickerson, and I believe he's about to fly by Kevin Foster. We're going to have a new race leader, and he will have pitted more recently than these other drivers. The 29 car looking fast. Joshua McQuiggan looking for that first career win, and what a commanding stint he has had. That's a name we were not talking about a few moments ago, and now he has gapped that second pass.
That is my fault. I thought that was the 98. They have such similar paint schemes here, but yeah, wow, he came out of nowhere. I thought he was the 98 because he was been running up all front all race long. So yeah, wow, this car looks like he was shot out of a cannon, but that goes to show you the difference in tires and what they'll do for you. He should be able to break away here, and he should try to set sail as far away as you can from these guys while it is green, and that will set him up pretty well at the end of the race.
But also just incredible the gap he has to the other guys that pitted on that lap. The next closest driver that pitted on the last caution, Ashley Lyle, back in 14th. So incredible to see of that group of about 10 cars how he was able to find so much pace. The next closest driver that is pitted here in the top 10 is Brett Guzik, who currently sits in 6th and is having a whale of a time trying to battle his way through the group here. He's underneath the 51 of Curtis Yancey once again. The 51 and the 04 have had plenty of little tussles here so far in only 35 laps, and he's going to get the 51, might even get the 7. And Brett Guzik might find himself up here in the 4th position on fresher tires. So this may be the opportunity to start moving forward. But guys that are struggling a little bit, Cody Welch here, still in this pack. He's still in a decent enough spot, has avoided wrecks, but is on older tires and only sits at the back end of the top 10 with a couple fresh tire guys like Sean Britt and Eddie Hagee right behind. So going to look to see a little bit more pace from him as the stint goes on, and maybe strategically going to have to do a rethink here of with how fast specifically Joshua McQuiggan has been. May need to do a rethink here on the strategy.
Yeah, after you're the 04 Brett Guzik, you're so frustrated right now seeing this guy get away from you, and kind of stretching out that lead. So, I mean, there's nothing much you can really do. He's got some clean air. He's going to kind of just cruise around. He can do everything he wants to do. He can save his tires, he can save fuel, but that's just not your set of circumstances. You have to go out there and race and try to track this guy down now to keep yourself in it. So, I know that's what all these guys are saying. Wow, where'd that guy come from? But you know, this is what makes your tires seem like they're even more worn out than they are. So we have cars bouncing all over each other in 3 and 4 right now.
Yeah, we really do. That's been kind of the story of the race so far, is just how close quarters the racing has been. Incredible we've managed to go without a caution here. It's really good battling, but it's almost hard to make sense of it all. Hard to see who's moving where, and it feels like a Daytona pack race in some ways, which is meant to be the idea of the new Atlanta. That's meant to be the gimmick for the new mini super speedway of sorts they've built here on the new repave of Atlanta. But the way we're driving tonight, Chris, it looks just the same. Guys are getting in big groups, big lines, and we're going 3 wide in about each and every corner. So crazy to see that this race has turned out about as far from how we could expect as possible. And the tire wear has been interesting, but those guys up front still making good pace. I know they're dropping back from the guys in front, but Kevin Foster, who did get by his teammate Nick Nickerson and has stayed there, is keeping up pretty well with Joshua McQuiggan, even on 23 lap older tires.
Yeah, I mean, but the difference of pace in these cars right now is incredible. But nonetheless, I mean, as I was saying, as you see these guys go past you at such crazy speeds, it just makes your tires feel worse and worse. And as that guy in front of you's car gets smaller and smaller, you think your car is driving worse and worse, and you cannot wait to come get tires to put on this race car. So I know that these guys are going to be screaming pretty soon, I need to pit. And these guys that have been not coming in under yellow are probably maybe regretting that now, because they were probably banking on, I hear some guys keying up now, pitting this time. So let's see how these pit stops cycle.
Yeah, here's the big stop for a couple guys like Nick Nickerson coming down pit road. That 2 car, hard on the brakes. Did he just get himself a speeding penalty? That'll be the question. Came in with a lot of, for lack of a better term, gusto there into the pits. He was coming in with some speed, so Cody Welch going to join him, likely not taking a speeding penalty there. A little bit more ginger on the brakes. We'll see Cody live as he pits into his box there and adjust some buttons there on his brakes. Oh, he's going to walk up and slide through his box as well. You see the frustration there. This race not going as well as we would hope for a couple guys. Still not on the pit box. There we go. Finally gets in there. And even in that short amount of time, we've already seen the next wave of guys from the next lap coming in, led by Kevin Foster, Benjamin Lacy, Trey Ellis, and Curtis Yancey.
Yeah, that one hurts. You just keep compounding mistakes on top of mistakes there, but that one does hurt because you're chewing up so much time. Just being on pit road, just sitting there, especially with how fast Joshua McQuiggan was rolling around there. But you're gonna see the reverse of that now. That 29 car is gonna look awfully slow to everybody else, but he has had such an advantage. Let's see how much they can close on him. But yeah, that was a tough mistake there by the 85, but he should be able to rebound pretty well as everybody gets packed back up together. They'll all roll back to each other.
I'm getting a good tip from some people here on the YouTube side of things that there's been some goings-on here between the 45 and the 51 so far tonight, and we've seen them kind of battling intermittently through the pack. We know Curtis Yancey's made contact with a couple guys, but we also need to keep in mind the situation from a few weeks back at Sonoma. Remember, Chris, there was a bit of a late race battle there. The 45 and the 51, the two of those drivers were scrapping it out all the way through that event, and in the end it was Curtis Yancey who got the better of it. We'll see if Ashley Lyle decides to maybe get some retribution here, especially if they're having their issues, but she's currently sitting fourth front of this pack, about a second and a half back of Ricky Hart Jr. in front, so kind of clean air as long as she can stay ahead of Haggy and Britt, but we'll see if that comes to fruition once we kind of cycle it during the pit stops and see if that old rival will be back.
Yeah, I mean, not exactly the track where I'd pick to do it, but
no.
I mean, if you get the opportunity, you're going to take it, I guess. So, yeah, I mean, the other thing about that is that Curtis doesn't have a win yet. He is not locked into the playoffs. He's been running really well, and he's doing really well in the points. But Ashley has 2 wins. She has nothing to lose. So, if she's feeling like she wants to pay him back tonight, well, that's on her because she has nothing to lose. So, yeah, it's just an interesting dynamic of how the playoffs work in racing. And, yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I always love to see it done later on one of the short tracks. I believe we're going to Bristol Dirt soon, so I feel like that's the perfect place to do it. But that's just...
Yeah, indeed. We're going to Bristol Dirt soon. That's next week's race. We're going for our first and only dirt race of the season. That should be a really fun one. And I think that's the good call there, Chris. I think that is probably the track. If you want an opportunity to get some payback, I think that's an environment where it will be a little bit more, or a little bit less frowned upon, perhaps, than another race such as this one. But I just want to very quickly point out here how fast these new tires are. We saw the onboard there from Nick Nickerson's perspective a few laps back. He is absolutely flying on the racetrack right now compared to these guys on older tires. And it makes the amount of pace he and Kevin Foster had in that last stint even more impressive. I know we had cautions, but how long ago he pitted and how fast he was still keeping was impressive. But then also the guy sitting in second here, Ricky Hart Jr., hasn't pitted since lap 7 and is still holding off a car with 10-lap fresher tires, that being Brett Guzik. And he still finds himself in second with pretty good track position.
Yeah, I mean, you saw the 2-car just steamroll those 2 guys there, but he is currently 1 lap down, so he's trying to hustle to not only make as much time up as he can, but to get back on the lead lap. If a caution does come out right now, that is to the benefit of everybody else that's on the lead lap on the track. So, yeah, I mean, I hear people saying, oh, there might be a wreck here, might be a wreck there. I don't see anything on the track, but nonetheless, yeah, as far as Brett and Ricky go here, you want to just keep on pushing and staying as tight as you can with each other to try and make as much ground up on Joshua McQuiggan as you can. But you're going to see here very shortly this 8 car is going to come flying by these 2 cars, and just makes it look so easy.
We've seen a couple guys pit a little bit later here. We see Connor Gibson and David Lakey have come down pit lane the last couple of laps. So, again, those very different strategies. It's hard to tell what has been optimal so far. I mean, I would say this group that pitted on lap 23 there on the most recent caution, that group including McQuiggan, Lyle, Greenwell, Hogan, Harkins, all in the top 8. So I think that may have been the ideal call so far, but here we go. Ricky Hart Jr. is finally going to pit after lap number 7, his most recent pit stop, and we'll see where he cycles back out based on the number of laps he ran on older tires. But either way, I think it's going to be fascinating to see if the drivers that are on that different strategy then start to pit with each other, because they're all around each other on the racetrack. Like this battle here for third between Lyle, Haggy, and Greenwell. This is a group of guys that are pitted all in the same lap, so we will see if they start to then split off later, maybe start to switch up the pit stops, or if this is kind of the 2-cycle split that we'll see for the rest of the race.
Yeah, I almost wonder if some of these guys that have decided to stay out this long are also trying to conserve fuel. to see if they can stretch it for a different kind of strategy. I'm not sure what the fuel mileage is here. Maybe someone else in the chat can help us, aka Dawson. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if these guys can make it on this strategy as they're playing now, or if the other strategy is more optimal as far as fuel mileage goes. So yeah, I love when they get on different strategies. It just adds a different dynamic to the race. And yeah, while I love to see guys racing side by side, I also love to see them using their brains and trying to not only save tires but go as fast as possible while doing math problems in their head. It's very difficult.
There's nothing more fun than math in a race car, is there? I'd love to see a game show centered around the concept of race car drivers trying to go as fast as they can, solving complex mental math equations here. And speaking of guys that I feel like are good at math, I would say Jason Greenwell, probably a pretty good shot. He's a bit of a math expert, or at least strategically. His experience in the series likely paying off. But the Mount Vernon, Indiana native, currently sitting in 4th, just got by Eddie Hagee here, and it's been a really, really stellar race. Really impressed with what I've seen tonight from Jason Greenwell, looking for, I believe, his first top 5 of the season. Could tonight be the night for the man who has unfortunately in the series been dubbed as Mr. Pompous due to, an old word slip up from a few seasons ago, and not at all related to his character. Super nice guy, Mr. Greenwell. So I'd like to see what he's doing. Holy cow, there goes Cody Welch flying by on a fresh set of tires. That 85 car is darn fast, but like we were talking about a few laps ago, he's got about a lap to make up because he is currently a lap down, and if a caution comes out, this could be absolutely huge here, Chris.
Yeah, it's quite frightening sometimes what's happening. So when you see that, and especially when I think 2 seasons ago when I was in the car, myself, and Brandon Jackson, who is not here tonight, actually had an incident where he was on fresh tires and I was not. And the closing rate of the cars, as we see the 04 car coming down pit road, the closing rate of the cars, it's just too hard to communicate where you want to be, and we ended up getting together and crashing. But nonetheless, yes, it is very difficult because, sometimes these guys are going 10, 15, 20 miles per hour faster than you going down the backstretch, which doesn't seem like a lot in a race car. It is a lot.
No, you're absolutely right. It's even scarier from the driver's seat because you're already trying to focus on your race. You might be on old tires. And as speaking of tires, here comes our race leader, Josh McQuiggan. Holy cow, he came in hot. That is undoubtedly going to be a speeding penalty for your race leader, and that'll be a massive shakeup here, Chris. Race leader, I'm almost certain, will take a pit speeding penalty here, and just like that, is that going to effectively make Ashley Lyle your new race leader on the same strategy? You got to expect, if that's the case, she'd be coming down pit road soon with about 30 laps into the cycle, and it's Lyle and Harkins your top 2 right now.
Yeah, that's definitely a tough break. I would agree with you. That did look like he was coming in significantly over the speed limit there. So, that's just, those are things that you got to clean up. And when you have the experience of being up front more and being up there more often, you get more comfortable with doing these things. He already had a 2-second lead. There wasn't necessarily that big of a need to go push it that far. So, that's just a lesson learned. Put that one in the bank and use it for next time. But we'll see how well he can rebound here. It shouldn't be that bad of a penalty, and I'm hoping he can get back up front by the end of this thing because he was looking really quick.
Still sitting alive on the pit box. Now finally going to get a chance to leave. Now down to 26th position. Will likely be 2 laps down for Joshua McQuiggan. So that's going to it's going to definitely take some work getting back up through the field there. But I would say the pace that we saw early on for the 29 car, if anybody can do it, he is absolutely one of the contenders. And now the driver on the freshest tires in the field is Brett Guzik, the driver of the number 04 car, your pole sitter tonight, presented by Perfect Shine Auto Spa. Now starting to work his way back through. He's up here into 11th. Is catching quickly the 85 car of Cody Welch. He's about a full second in front of him here, but he's making his way forward towards the car with 14 lap older tires. And again, the question now is just going to be Ashley Lyle and Bill Harkins. When do they come down pit road? And based on the way they'll cycle out, they should cycle out to about position 12 or 13. So Lyle on fresh tires in about that spot. I think Brett's still going to be a little bit more ideal on strategy. He would have 5 lap fresher tires and be about 5 seconds down the road, but it all comes down to pace. If Lyle has the genuine speed at the end of the race and fresher tires, even if she's got a few seconds to make up, I think that 45 car, one of the fastest in the field when it's on its day, and could absolutely see win number 3 here before anybody else gets win number 2.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. You don't want to push it too far and put yourself in a hole, but also you don't want to pit now and put yourself a lap down. So it's at a certain point, you're just going to say, this is my strategy. I'm sticking to it. I'm not changing my mind. I'm going with it all the way through. So it's just going to be interesting to see where that plays out. I don't know if they must have pitted under one of those later yellows to allow them to run this far. So, yeah, I mean, everybody else is closing on them on a rapid pace. I mean, it's about a second a lap that I'm seeing the ticker go down here. So, I mean, eventually they're going to get past. It's just about how far do they cycle out from the lead.
Just a fun little battle here. We're watching for 17th and 16th here as we see Paul Wilson fly up the inside of both of them on fresher tires to kind of stay out of this battle. But here we see Nolan Groves, the Caledonia, Michigan native, battling it out with Michael Ramos here as the driver of the 27 car, remember, started up in the top 10, was pretty quick off the bat, had some early caution troubles, and the Clarksville, Tennessee native then fell back a little bit. But it's always good to see these further back in the pack battles be as aggressive as they are. And who knows, later in the race, if these guys can find a little bit more pace or if the strategy works out, this could be a battle for even the order. So as we see Joshua Quiggin, their fastest car on the racetrack on freshest tires of anybody, the 29 car going to scoot through there, trying to get as many laps back as he possibly can. But it's this battle between the 02 and the 27 that I think is the most interesting right now.
Yeah, they are battling quite hard. I can hear them on the radio talking about it a little bit here. So now I love hearing the guys kind of go back and forth with each other and you know, the friendly banter. So yeah, I mean, it sounds like here we have the 45 and the 12 going to be coming to pit road soon. I might be spreading some fake news here, but that's what it sounds like. So be attentive for that with those cars coming down pit road here shortly.
Well, Harkins, as we speak, the number 12 car is on pit road, so chilling in the box. Looks like there was a little bit of a delay on the right side tires. Doesn't look like a particularly fast stop for the number 12 crew, but should be getting back out here in a moment. Here comes Lyle, your race leader, also locks it up. Is that going to be a speeding penalty? I think we found our new storyline of the race, Chris. It was coming in really hot. I remember from my days back in ovals trying to do this pit road. It was never particularly easy, but I think we may have another one. We'll see how long this pit stop takes for your race leader, and then slides through the box as well, getting in here to the front pit stall. Just crazy the way this has worked out.
Yeah, that's tough. Like, I mean, just like with the 85 car, that's just compounding mistakes, and it's tough because you start getting frustrated that one mistake's becoming another, and yeah, it's one of those things. It's part of the game here. And pit road is tough no matter where you go, but when you go to a track where tire wear is so high, getting to pit road is so tough when you have no grip to stop the car. So you're just going to lock them up and just going for a ride.
Well, this has been kind of a fun little segment. We've done well, I guess we did it once last week, and it was kind of interesting. I'm going to throw it to you here, Chris, as we watch the battle for the lead between the 2 and the 8 car. Which driver, besides the ones that pitted on that last stint, so which driver on old tires right now do you think is running the fastest for anybody?
I'm going to go with my race pick, the one of Ricky Hart Jr.
Well, that's if we count Ricky Hart Jr. in the equation, which we can, because that is true. He did not pit on the last set of cautions. You're right. The number 1 car, who just passed for the lead, the number 1 car looking for second win of the season, is the fastest car on the racetrack at 32.08. Although he is a 0.6 lap slower than Brett Kuzik, who's only on 5-lap fresher tires. So the pace in the 04 car is absolutely absurd right now, and Brett is only a full second back here. You see him in the background, that kind of beige 04 car is getting mighty close. But you're right, Ricky Hart Jr. I was going to say Kevin Foster, who's even 8 laps older than that, is actually keeping up pretty well here. But the GFR guys, top 3 right now. It's been a great night for all of them, and we have a caution, which will immediately make this race a lot more interesting. And there you go. All the strategy calls, they all mean relatively not, unless you are not on the lead lap, in which case this race just got a whole bunch worse for you. And one of the drivers in that category, unfortunately, is Joshua McQuiggan, who will remain a lap down here as he will not get the lucky dog.
All these guys are just scratching their head right now. They don't know what to do. I mean, you just pit. You know, some guys are going to pit. You know, you're getting close to your window. I mean, that's a tough one. I want to say they have 3 sets on the wall, so some of these tires are going to have to be double stinted if that's the case. So unless you're worrying about fuel, you're probably going to see the majority of these guys stay out. Maybe you'll see the 8 and the 2 come in. I'm not sure, because I was not expecting that caution at that point.
Looking back here at the replay of what this caution was, I mean, like I don't want to call it out because we're in a sim. I know there could be internet issues, but it looks from the naked eye like Hunter Henry coming off of turn 2 absolutely lambasted the side of Michael Ramos. I don't know if that's the case, and the only reason I say that is also because the kind of kept his foot in the throttle as he was trying to turn him away here down the backstretch. I'm curious if you want to take a look at that, Chris, just what your perspective is, but I think he hooked it pretty hard left just from the naked eye.
I mean, I would say that your presumptions there seem to be pretty spot on if you were to ask me, but
Okay.
we did have everybody come down pit road. I don't want to keep Hunter Henry in the hot seat, so that is a tough break for both of those guys as they'll have to talk that one out later.
We're going to move on here. Yeah, we're just going to skip ahead here to the drivers on pit road. Who's going to win the race off pit road? It's Ricky Hart Jr. It's Kevin Foster, your top two. Getting out in relatively quick order. Wondering if they even took tires. Now Christopher Hamilton will make it 3 GFR guys off pit road. There goes Nickerson. It'll be Lacy beating Guzik to the line. So Brett Guzik must have taken 4 tires there, or else he maybe got into his box slope. He's lost 5 spots there down the order in on pit road. Up front, it's David Lakey going to stay out here, driver of the number 84 car. Last pitted on lap number 47. It's only 21 lap hole tires. Could choose to stay at the front of the field, but will be very slow comparatively to the guys behind. Maybe just going for that bonus point for leading the lap. It'll tuck down pit road in a moment. But it is currently Lakey, Lyle, and Hart, your front of the order. And I mean to correct myself, it is going to be Harkins and McQuiggan who are ahead of the drivers who just pitted and will get their lap back for free. Not a lucky dog, but will get the wave around here before the race goes green, so good for them. But it is the 84, the 45, and then Ricky Hart Jr. will lead the race off pit road.
This certainly shakes things up. I mean, like I said, I didn't see that caution coming. I thought that once we were green flag racing there and everybody got spread out, it was going to stay that way. So, yeah, this shakes things up because, I mean, I think that just kind of equalized everybody on strategy. It's kind of just a reset button a little bit. Some guys may have added more fuel than others, or whatever the case may be. Some guys may have an extra set of tires in the pits than others. We'll have to see how that plays out. But from here, I think we're pretty close to getting that being their last stop. I don't think that everybody can make it from here. That'd be a pretty big stretch in my opinion. So one more stop is in play here, but you know, we found out who was the contenders. We saw that Josh McQuiggan was mighty fast. I know he was on different tire strategies, but he was mighty quick. He was making some of the best laps out of the entire field. So he's now back on the lead lap. The great equalizer has come, and we shall see how it all works out.
Here we go, folks. Going to go very quickly into a quick mention for our race sponsor here tonight. Then we'll kind of touch on the strategy and see if David Lakey stays out on pit road. But GeezerAuthentics.com, your sponsor of tonight's race. And Geezer Authentics is a brand very personal and close to our hearts here at both Full Send Racing Network and in the Bandit Racing League, because they are our official store for all things merch. And if you're thinking, well, Kevin Foster's having a great race tonight. He's currently sitting in 4th, second guy in that very successful GFR racing order tonight. Well, maybe I want to pick up a t-shirt for him in Clutch Automotive. If you want to do so, not only can you get it in a variety of colors, a variety of sizes, but you can get it for a low markup cost that goes back into the league, and all proceeds of the merch go back into the Bandit Racing League, and in turn the Driver Points Fund, which is how at the end of the year we reward our drivers based on the final results in the standings. It's a really cool initiative to make sure that the drivers are getting something out of all the effort they put in throughout the course of the season. And if you're looking for anything from hats, shirts, pants, mugs, wall hangings, anything, and you want to get stuff with that really cool new Bandit Racing League logo, support the series, support your favorite drivers, and support us here at the Full Send Racing Network. That is a great way to do it. We also have merch for guys like current race leader David Lakey, like Hayden Paul for Ignite RC, Eddie Haggy, Cody Welch, Nick Nickerson, everybody you could think of. There is a product you can find on GeezerAuthentics.com. So thank you, as always, to GeezerAuthentics.com for sponsoring tonight's race. Really, really cool to get to, you know, have a bit of a more personal touch with our sponsor, and especially one that is so important to the series. With that, 4th caution restart of the night on lap number 70. 55 laps to go. They may be able to make it on fuel, but they won't want to make it on tires. It is Lakey, it is Lyle, and we are green here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. 55 to go. And it's the 84, the 45 on older tires and the rest of the field, but they will lead us to the green as Lyle already getting up in front of Lakey into turn number 1.
Some good blocks there. I saw a couple drivers hearing wreck on the radio here.
Yeah, I'm here.
I don't see anything.
looked like it's about to be. I will say that.
Wow, nice save. So looks like we're back to racing here, but the 45 car still hanging up front as the 2 car is going to slice and dice here. This 1 car is probably pretty frustrated with this older 84 with the old tires out in front of him, just kind of slowing him down a little bit, but that's just the name of the game here as the 45 car checks out, but not going to be for very long with the 2 car fresh tires.
You see here, Christopher Hamilton getting super wide there through 1 and 2. He's going to drop all the way back now to, he's currently in 12th. Benny Hogan could make it 13th. And there goes David Lacy. Yeah, the tire's just too old. The 84 car is going to do his best, but strategically, all you can do is try to act as like a stopper on the bottle and try to hold guys up as best you can, but at a certain point, you can only do so much as Eddie Haggy makes it 3 wide through the trial. Bull gets ahead. We just had a new fastest lap of the race here by a name we haven't talked about much tonight. Benjamin Lacy, driver number 7 car, is going to run a 30.4 second lap, and now he's going to tuck in behind the group, now led by Nick Nickerson, who just got ahead of Lyle. Ashley Lyle a little bit slow that last time by, going to find a little bit more pace here, and maybe, just maybe, get back ahead of the 2 car.
Yeah, that with the 84 car starting up front there on older tires, what that kind of did was it allowed the top lane to break away a little bit. So, yeah, this 4 car little breakaway up here, if they were to all just single file up, they would probably scoot away from the rest of the pack. I know you have the 51 there, Connor Gibson back there, Benny Hogan back there. They might be able to catch on, but I mean, at the end of the day, the smaller the pack, and the less guys they actually have to racing up front. That's what I'm fixing to do. So I would just kind of all get in line here, let Nick lead a couple laps, put down a couple fast ones, and get out of Dodge. But we'll see how this works out for them.
It's interesting to watch here on my telemetry, watching lap by lap, who's running quick lap times consistently. One of the drivers in that category is Benny Hogan right now, driver of the number 5, inching his way up towards Connor Gibson here and to take over 6th spot. Remember I talked about just a moment ago, Benny Hogan was about to put Christopher Hamilton in 13th? Well, now he's moved his way up 6 more spots since then, and that 5 car, the Troy, North Carolina native, I talked about it in pre-race, I talked about it in qualifying. He's good at tracks like this. He's always good at short tracks, and he's always good at intermediates with tire wear. He's finished on the podium multiple times here in the Bandit Racing League. Would not be surprised if he was a dark horse pick to make it back up to that front pack and maybe go challenge these guys for the race lead. But right now, it is the 2 car still holding off the two-headed tandem of the 04 and the 45. Is Brett Guzik here going to get down the inside and is going to have the 5-lap tire advantage to get a little bit more pace on the Lyle and will put himself in second. 50 laps to go here at Atlanta.
Yeah, that second pack of of those cars right behind this lead pack, they're making a little bit of hay here, trying to catch up to them. And the more these guys and girls race side by side, the better it is. As you see, the 04 car just peaked to the inside of the 2. He's thinking about it. I know he wants that lead. He's pretty much been out of it since he took the green flag. Kind of the opposite of last week's race where he pretty much led every single lap. So I know he's trying to get back to the point here and start leading some more laps.
Crazy here how close this top pack is. I mean, all throughout the course of the race there, you know, Chris, we kind of had one of those traditional Atlanta races where there's, 10 seconds between each driver and the leader is about a full minute ahead of the driver in 10th. But now that we've packed it back up again, you're starting to see just how close this series really is on pace. And Ashley Lyle doing her very best to fight with these drivers around, but just too old are the tires in that 45 car, and it'll be the 2, the 04, and the 7 getting the advantage here. A good battle here happening for 8th, though. Trey Ellis side by side through the tri-oval here with Jason Greenwell, who again been really solid today. I'm happy with what I've seen from that 83 car. Right in behind, waiting to pounce. The 10 and Matt Crockett sitting in the 10th spot. Matt Crockett, pretty solid season so far here. Points kind of under the radar, but is doing well, and to get a top 5 maybe, even, or let alone a top 10, would be a really great result for that number 10 car for Brigham City, Utah. Nate.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to see that car back up front. I know he's been putting together some good performances as of late. Let's see if he can finish this one out with a nice solid finish tonight. So yeah, good to see him running up here and see if he can capitalize on it. But yeah, as you were mentioning, the 45 course tires are starting to give out a little bit, but she was able to hang on just quite long enough where it was worth it for her. If she falls back into the second pack, where now Benny Hogan, as you were alluding to, has taken the point on that second pack. Even if she falls back to that second pack, that is still a win. Once they do this last pit stop cycle, you're setting yourself up for the best case scenario there.
Benny Hogan we see here, just the guy I'm kind of keeping an eye on here, is up to the 5th spot. He did get Curtis Yancey, and that pace is still impressive. He is running almost identical lap times to this front pack, and so are Curtis and Connor, to be fair. This line has really formed itself up well, but that front group, it really isn't breaking away. They're consistent. They're staying about equidistant to each other here, Chris, but besides the 3rd spot battle between Lacy and Lyle, it's not really smooth sailing for these guys so far on race pace. This last time by, we'll see here how the lap times compared. Again, about dead even. Actually, this is incredible, your top 7 cars, except for Brett Guzik, who was 2 tenths faster. Besides him, the top 7, their lap times were separated by 0.02 of a second that last time by. Incredible how close these guys are running on track.
Yeah, that is incredible. I mean, and you see it here as you see the 45 all over the back of the 7. I mean, how much closer can you get in lap time without being inside of each other's cars? So, yeah, I mean, it is incredible at this stage of the race for them to be running so close to each other. I mean, that just shows you how much they're pushing it. But it's just kind of funny to see how we went from thinking that a boring race was seeing a leader get a 10-second lead and seeing different strategies play out to the pack racing and all this stuff, as we see the 04 car really send it in there. You're gonna see the 2 car make a run back, just gets the nose of the 7 car. I mean, man, yeah. that was a bit of a Hail Mary there to try to send it in there.
Now we're heating up. That was darn bold. That was pretty sick, if I'm honest. That was cool to see. But yeah, just what an absolute fight it has been here for these top 4 spots. Just very casually, but you see it's kind of the slow chess match happening here. Is again that big Brett Guzik.
2 car gets in the wall a little bit.
Oh, he does indeed. I was trying to watch. Was he getting close, or was he just riding high? There we go. Does make contact. Another line completely flips. New race leader Brett Guzik, and he didn't even need to do it with that Hail Mary move, but crazy how like the little chess moves happening corner after corner. Not big moves besides that one Brett pass, but just starting to peek out a line, trying to find the speed, trying to find those openings in the dirty air. Brett Guzik is the first guy to really make that offensive move work. Now I think that the pressure's on Benjamin Lacy. We haven't really seen that big pass from him yet, but before he may get the chance, the 2 car may get the moves done on the top side. Might pull the crossover here on the 45 a while, but gets in the wall once again. That 2 car using the entire racetrack right now.
I mean, I think it just goes to show you how difficult this package here is at this track, with how difficult the track is itself. I mean, you have a 2-time champion here just absolutely pushing it, beating the car off the wall. So, yeah, I mean, this is some fun racing here. If anybody at home disagrees, I really don't know what to tell you. This is awesome watching these guys and girls go back and forth, running every line of the racetrack and knocking down the wall. Look at this 2 car all over the back of the 7 car right now.
Yeah, like you could not separate these guys by more than a couple sheets of paper here at some of these moments. It is incredible just how much trust they have between some of these top guys. And here we see Lyle going to take a peek. I want to look back a little bit further quickly. Battle between Yancey and Crockett now for the 8th position. Yancey, who was running up quick in that front group, I think had a bit of a contact with the wall once again. But a tough night for that 51 car that is now involved in this battle just to stay in the top 10. And Cody Welch here again under the radar. The 85 car is running well. He ran a lap equal to that of Benny Hogan, who currently sits in 5th last time by, and a little bit faster than Brett Guzik actually, but needs to get through this pack, needs to make forward progress if that 85 car wants any chance at the win that I know, and we all know he so craves.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to say it for the people at home. I'm never going to pick Cody as my race pick ever, even New Hampshire, all that stuff. I can't do it. I'm not going to be the one that does it. So, yeah, no, I mean, he has a chance here. I mean, I think that he's going to probably need a caution at this point to kind of restack everybody up, but you never know. I mean, we've seen some wild things happening up front with the 2 car getting in the wall, and now they're kind of mixed in with some lap traffic here on what seems to be maybe some fresher tires. So you never know what can happen here at the Bandit Racing League as we are getting closer and closer to the end of this race.
Well, I hate to highlight drivers that are having some struggles, but drivers that just, I think they had some earlier incidents that have put them back in the order a little bit. Kevin Foster and Christopher Hamilton, the way the pit cycles have worked out, hasn't benefited them at all. Currently sitting in 22nd and 23rd, which is crazy considering how fast they were early on. Same with Ricky Hart Jr. as well. He's in 19th at the moment. Joshua McQuiggan behind, we saw the speeding penalty. He's in 20th. Just crazy here, Chris. How fast, how much potential there is from some of these guys at the back, but just poor strategy, little mistakes, and suddenly you are right proper out of the final the shot at the win. And Kevin Foster now going to make his final pit stop here, pitting from the 24th position.
Yeah, I think next week my race pick is going to be me while I'm in the booth. So
like
I won't be in the car, so I'll get that one right.
Oh, geez, it's awkward here as broadcasters to have to jinx drivers like this, but no, it's been rough for both of our race picks tonight. Although Lacy, hey, he's back up in second. It's been quiet. I shouldn't say it's been bad at all. In fact, maybe he's in the most ideal spot of anybody. But a driver who maybe isn't in the super enviable spot is Nick Nickerson, who was extra slow last time by, was 3/10 behind the drivers in front of him. I don't know if it was a mistake or just having some struggles here with the damage left from hitting the outside wall, but struggles here as Lyle coming down pit road. Does she get it woed up? I believe she does. And there we go, the Virginia Beach, Virginia native making the final pit stop of the race, and it'll be about a 35 to 36 lap final cycle here.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see if anybody has tires left, if they're taking them, if they're not going to take them, how long does it take for them to track somebody down? Is there going to be a yellow? There's so many questions that are running through your head right now as you're about to make this green flag pit stop, and everything is telling you not to pit. Oh, just go one more lap. There might be a caution. Go one more lap, and then you know what? You go that extra lap, and it doesn't quite work out, and you just set yourself up. So you just got to commit, come down, and get your service, and keep on racing. But it is so tough when you're running up front instead. As we've seen all season long, that 2-car, I don't know what he's doing on pit road, but he seems to get it done like 4 seconds faster than everybody else, no matter where we go. He just got something figured out.
You can just watch it here. You see Nick Nickerson, right tires are up, left tire's going to go up here. You got to think in a moment, yeah, and that'll be the end of his pit service. I very quickly just noticed that Nick has an actual custom suit there for his pit crew. I saw the Bandit Racing League logo on a pit crew driver and got surprised. So cool little detail there. That's very cool, the 2-car. But here we go. He is off pit road, and yeah, just stupid quick once again. Trying to keep an eye on the gap from him to Cody Welch. It's 5 seconds, and they came in about 3 or 4 seconds apart. So he's doing something. I don't know what it is, but everybody in the Bandit Racing League, go out there, ask Nick, figure it out, and try to improve on it in the future, because that is a huge opportunity for the 2-car to pick up as much pace as he always seems to.
Yeah, it's just incredible. I've seen it when we were racing, how he just gained so much time on pit road. I just never understood quite how he did it, but he certainly has something figured out here, and we'll see how that pays dividends, as Guzik is still out on the track right now, and he does have to come down for service. So that couple seconds on pit road could mean leapfrogging for the lead. So we'll have to see how that plays out.
Got to remember, though, the longer he stays out, the less laps he will have to run on that final set of tires, and thus the faster they'll be, the more he'll be able to push. So it's a trade-off, and I think at this point we've seen in the past in these tire conservation-based races for the finishes as we come to 30 laps to go here, it's always the drivers on the fast tires that at the end make their way back. We very rarely see drivers that hold off the rest of the field, even on older tires, based on track position at the end. It's always somebody flying back through the field. So maybe could a driver like a Cody Welch or a Benjamin Lacy actually make up time, on these newer tire strategies versus the guys that are going to stay out now will actually have fresher rubber than anybody. And Benny Hogan may even be in competition here for a podium, just based on is only 4 seconds back of Guzik, isn't losing the 04 car, and I think Guzik, I would say, probably has the best shot of retaining the race lead here, unless the number 2 car, who just ran the fastest lap of the race, can continue his hot streak here, and he's right behind the Lyle. This is going to be a pass between 2 drivers in the same strategy, only 1 lap of tires separating these two, and there you go, 30.36, fastest lap of the race. The 2 car is on the charge here with 30 to go.
I mean, I'm trying to.
Whoa! Benny Hogan's around on pit road. Loses it on the entry, and the 5 car is going to add to our growing list of drivers who have just had absolutely brutal nights on pit road. His shot, I was just talking about it. Good old commentator's jinx immediately comes into play. Gotta love our job, don't you, Chris?
You gotta love it. I mean, it just comes with it. So, yeah, I mean, he was running really well. I mean, hopefully he can rebound. It looks like he's got it woed up and he's got it there. I hope he doesn't get any kind of black flags for that, because he's already served enough of a penalty from the mistake there. But let's see if he can get it back and rebound and still come away with a top 5, top 10 tonight. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the lap times of Nickerson and Lyle and Lacy and Greenwell. I'm looking at all these lap times, and I'm looking at Brett still staying out on the track, and I'm trying to to break this down. I'm almost wondering if he's going to take a splash in 2. I'm just trying to figure out where he's going with this, because I mean, he is going to have fresh tires, but he's also going to have less time to pass them back if they do leapfrog him. So it is such an interesting give and take that you have to account for. But Nickerson just got his lap back, so did Lyle. So yeah, it's a tough one.
I gotta say, I think if I'm a Brett Guzzi fan, I want that 04 car pitting as soon as he possibly can. I think he is starting to scrub off time the longer he stays here on these old tires. Maybe I'm wrong. He's got a great pace. We know that. We know he's fast. But you saw how fast they got by him there a moment ago. That gap that was, when they lapped him, you saw in the background, with the 45 and the 2, at that point they would have been 33 seconds behind. Now that gap is, or no, actually more than that, because Lacy's away up the road. They've probably made up 4 or 5 seconds here since that pass, and we're only on lap 100 of 125. I think he's got to come down soon, unless you're right, Chris, unless he's just taking a splash in 2, which would be bold. And here he comes, 25 laps to go to the end of the race. It's going to be the moment he decides to come down. Going to have to watch this battle off pit road. I think he was fine there for speeding, which has become, again, the common fixture of tonight, but the question is, what can he do when he comes back out? He's going to have fresher rubber by about 8 laps, but question is track position. Where will he come out? Is Matt Crocker going to become your new race leader here? He still has to pit, but actually he's gone since lap 67, so is even a little bit older than some of these guys on the older strat. Whereas Connor Gibson now coming down pit road is going to be in a good spot here. Could be in for another top 5 in what has been an incredible year for the 31 car.
Yeah, this how this all blends back together is going to be certainly interesting. I know, we have the strategy is still ever changing with different people staying out and whatnot. But yeah, this blend back to the track is going to be the question of the night, and seeing how everybody gets themselves going with just under 25 to go.
I mean, like Chris, looking at the gap here right now, it is 16 seconds from Brett to Nick. I mean, that's substantial.
16 seconds. I'm going to assume that he put on 4 tires, by the way. He just went past the 10 car. So, oh, man. I mean, he's not only does he have to get there, he has to pass him. I mean, if a yellow comes out, great call by the 04 car there, because I don't think that the 2 is going to have anything for him in the pits. So now it's just go put down as many flyer laps as you can until you get back to the front.
Yeah, you basically got to run quality laps for the next 22. If you can be a full second a lap faster, he's got a shot. And the last time by, we'll see Brett's first lap on fresh tires. We'll keep you posted here as Matt Crocker, it's just getting swallowed up by these cars on new tires here as we go 3 wide across the start-finish line. I thought that might be the caution here that would really shake this event up, but no, we do stay green. The Nickerson-Lyle battle is still in play. That could still be it, where the race win is decided, but Brett Guzzi 30.66 that last time by, 31.74 for Nick and Ashley. So he is over a second faster. He's got 21 laps. It's going to be a charge here, Chris, and that's what I always say. I did say earlier that it's the drivers here on newer tires who charge back through the field that always seem to win these things. So maybe it's not over. We'll see.
We'll have to see every single lap that he pushes it like this. He is also knocking apart his tires as well. So that tread life, I mean, there's no tread on tires, but that life of that tire gets less and less every single lap he takes here. So let's see if he has enough to make it there and make the pass at the end.
Now 20 laps to go here at Atlanta for the Keys Authentics 125. And remember the big picture storyline here, folks. Only one driver has multiple race wins so far here in season number 11. It's been a season of parity, and that is Ashley Lyle, who has missed the last 2 races of the season. The 45 car won 50% of the races she's participated in so far this year, and that stat was even better a few seasons back when she debuted in season number 8, and I believe won 2 of the final 3 races to cap off that year. So that 45 car winning this year just wins. And only 6/10 back, your race leader, Nick Nickerson, is only on 1 lap older tires. I think if there's any pace left in that car, it's got a shot at the win. As Nick brushing the wall, so does Lacy. They both get wicked loose. I don't know if it was contact or just getting close and brushing it. Maybe it was even iRacing's just kind of messing around with us in netcode. But no, there is genuine pace swing here. 2/10 down. Here comes Lyle. This could be the kind of reverse bad luck Chalmers. I was just talking about that third win for Lyle, and now her competitor right in front gets in the wall. Here comes the charge, and this is going to help Cody Welch, too. Cody Welch sitting only 5 seconds back, is on fresher tires than anybody in this group, and might even have a shot here getting back up. But Brett Guzik, that gap's down to 10 seconds. There are 18 to go. This is anybody's game, but I think we may have been wrong. I think Brett got that strategy perfect.
Yeah, I was going to say, if this battling here is helping anybody out, it's helping that 04 car get closer and closer. And I mean, at this rate, he should be able to get them within probably about 10 laps to go still. So, yeah, I mean, that was quite surprising to see these guys battling like that, and to see that this strategy is going to work out this way. But, I mean, all you can hope and do here for these people that are still out on track that aren't on the same strategy as Brett is just keep on racing and hope that he makes a mistake. Make it as hard on him as possible to get to you, and just hope he runs out of time. That's all you can do. So that they seem to have that down. They are racing each other quite hard up here, and then they have zero regard for that 04 car that is on fresher tires.
Not just these drivers here that are running really well and are battling it out for the actual lead on track here. Is Benjamin Lacy now going to jump by Nick Nickerson, who Benjamin Lacy fresher tires than anybody here in the top 4, so may ride that pace out to, if not the win, if Brett's able to catch at least a really good performance and maybe a podium. But I also want to talk about Jason Greenwell here momentarily. Driver of the 83 car, has had a good race, is on strategy. In fact, has pitted 5 laps more recently than anybody in the top 3 and 4. So if he continues to follow Guzik, and Guzik does catch in time, this could be a Guzik-Greenwell top 2, which would be fascinating to see. The 83 car has just played this race to perfection on strategy, and we were talking about, seems like a guy that would be good at math. Really, that math has been pretty effective so far as he puts himself in a really good spot.
Yeah, I was never a fan of math, so I always had other people do it for me. So I need to be on a team with Jason whenever I decide to get back in the car, because, yeah, he has certainly working for him tonight as you know, he needed this kind of performance, as we just see them flip-flopping for the lead. We're talking about this, but I just keep seeing back and forth battling for the lead, and yeah, it's getting tight up here, but pretty soon they're gonna be like, oh man, we're doing this for what? Because the 04 is gonna come flying by them, and he needed this performance. I mean, he's had a couple of races with some bad luck in it, and you know, you hate to see it for a guy like him. He puts in a lot of effort. He's always at the practices. He's always at the practice races. He's always such a good guy to talk to. So you love to see someone like him run up front and have a good performance. So yeah, kudos to him and his math.
You know what this really feels like for me right now, this battle for the front? It feels like when all the siblings are like fighting over something that their mom is just going to inevitably take away from them a few minutes later. That's exactly what we're watching here is, yeah, Brett Guzik, you saw in the background there in another shot, blow by Cody Welch. He has comfortably got the pace. But the 45 and the 7, what a battle it's been here these last couple laps. Side by side, the 45 car going to get the advantage off of 4. Lacy trying to get back underneath into 1. This battle, if they could form somewhat of a wall here, Chris, I know it's a long shot, 8-lap pressure tires for Brett. You got to think he's going to use them to good advantage. But it's Benjamin Lacy here that is proving he can get it done through 1 and 2, and then it's 3 and 4 that Lyle succeeds. 12 more laps. This thing isn't automatically over, and Guzik might not get him in time. Actually, Greenwell specifically kind of fallen back a little bit, that gap now, up to 4 seconds with Brett, where it was about 2 a moment ago. So Brett is going to be the one to challenge here. Now under 2 seconds is that gap. I think he's got a really good shot, but man, this battle for the lead is fun to watch. We're going to go on board here with the number 04 car.
Yeah, this is incredible to see them just be so close lap after lap, and Nick's just tucked in behind him, just letting it happen the way it is. So, yeah, I mean, you kill me every single time, every single race. You have one of these comparisons or analogies that are just incredible. I don't know where you come up with them. That was so good, so spot on. Yeah, Brett is going to come and take this lead away from them very shortly, and you're going to have 3 very upset children. So, nonetheless, it's going to be fun to watch them fight over something that they're not going to have at the end of the race anyway. I mean, unless we get a caution, you never know. Bandit Racing League. Yeah, I've seen crazier things here.
The sentence "caution" Bandit Racing League back to back. I feel like some races is very effectively put. But here we go, Benjamin Lacy here. You see the live camera. He's looking relatively chill, but you got to think he's worried about the guy coming up quick behind him. And here he comes, Brett Guzik. Is he going to go 3 passes in 1 corner? Got Nick, but he's tucked in. They've boxed him in. This is fascinating. You gotta win. Oh, turns wild. No way! Puts the bumper to the back of the 45. Not going to be happy. Here comes Benjamin Lacy potentially is the last chance. Can he just send it in? Because if this doesn't work, folks, I think this race is relatively wrapped up. If Brett brought out a caution there and potentially lost on fast cars getting fresh tires in the back, holy cow, what a result that would have been. That was crazy there. Managed to save it, though.
Man.
Wow.
You know, all I can think back was to Rockingham when those two kind of got into it, and I was kind of wondering, is this where he's deciding to plot his revenge? But, you know, we were talking about it on the opposite foot there, the 45, you know, maybe settling some differences with the 51, and I was like, this isn't the track to do it. Well, I guess this is the track to do it. I was getting the memo wrong the whole time because, I mean, Brett came away with the lead, and he disrupted the 45 there. I didn't hear anything on the radio, so radio silence, that silence is really loud right now, in my opinion. So, yeah, I mean, that would have been wild. As we're saying, you know, what if a yellow comes out? I mean, the leader almost brought out the yellow. So
yeah. I thought it was fascinating the way they boxed him in there. Like the 3 car, they had 2 in the front, 1 on the side, and just kind of forcing him up. But Brett broke the chain. If that hadn't worked, I'm actually kind of curious if they could have kept that going for a couple more laps. But it was the inevitable pass we had to expect there from Guzik, because we watched this really good battle here between Ramos and Ricky Hart further back. Props to Ricky Hart Jr. getting back in the top 10 there after I was talking about earlier was 19th about 15 laps ago. Really fought back to get in a good final spot here, but no, further up the order, he's setting sail. Although, I'll just say, Benjamin Lacy keeping with him. He's trying. Benjamin Lacy, faster lap. Fastest lap of the race still goes to Nick, that 30.20 from earlier. But this has been a really, really good run here for Benjamin Lacy, and even if he doesn't get it done, as we come across the line here, we'll see Benjamin Lacy was a little bit faster. Did he conserve a little bit better as he was sitting there behind those 2 guys in front battling for the lead? Maybe, maybe not, but whatever the answer is, I know that he's going to have a pretty good result in the end, as Ashley Lyle just trying to hold on there. Maybe a little bit of contact earlier from Brett Guzik is taking pace out of that 45, but she can just bring it home. She's got a top 5 in the bag, and Cody Welch there going to take over the 4th spot very quietly. Another really good points day from a guy that may not have the win yet this season, but is still always putting himself in the championship conversation.
Yeah, really good points day from Cody, and you know, that's kind of compounding 2 weeks in a row with some really good finishes. As we were alluding to earlier, Jason Greenwell is having a really good run tonight. Curtis Yancey, I think this is going to be his 5th consecutive top 10 of the season, so really, really good, stellar run for him. Trailis, another top 10. Eddie Haggy, he's been very consistently up in the top 10 every single week, so really good to see him there. Matt Crockett, he's running 10th right now. You know, if he can bring that thing home, you know, that could be that little shot of confidence for him. You know, really good bounce backs by Ricky, Michael Ramos, Hunter Henry, Josh McQuiggan, all had some trouble early, and they were able to bring it back with some respectable finishes here. So maybe not quite the finish that they wanted, but definitely better than where they were at some point in the race when they had some trouble. So good to see them bounce back. But it looks like the 04 car is about fixing to come to go here. So yeah, I mean, I can't say it wasn't coming. He was really fast in qualifying. He was really fast in practice. But the 04 car, right from the drop of the green flag, he shuffled back, and you know, now this is where we are. He got the lead back when it counted. So yeah, it's I mean, it's good to see. But this is going to be another 2-time winner this season. But I'll have you take the call for the white flag lap.
Yes, indeed. Apex Sim Racing white flag, 1.5 miles left to go for Brett Guzik. And it wasn't a winless streak by any means. The fact that he didn't have a win in the first 6 races of the year was somewhat of a surprise, but finally got one last week, and it's been dominant. You just said it, Chris. Was fast in practice, fast in qualifying, put it on the pole. That 04 car has been just absolutely on fire tonight. Made the right strategy call. And, well, here we go. Off of turn number 3 and 4 for the final time. They must have had a 2 for sale here on race wins. He got one last week, and he picked up a double this week. The 04 car going around the 86, and he will pick up the checkered flag at Atlanta. Back-to-back weeks for Brett Guzik. Wins the Geezer Authentics 125, and he does so with a call that, well, we may have been a little bit gun-shy about earlier on in the race. We weren't sure if that was the right call there to take tires later, to stay out longer on old rubber, but clearly he proved us wrong and gets it done here at Atlanta. Brett Guzik is your winner here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Just such an exceptional drive there from Brett. I am truly impressed from what we've seen from him as Benjamin Lacy and Nick Nickerson get around off your podium tonight. Cody Welch, Ashley Lyle finishing off the top 5, and there we go. Jason Greenwell just going to miss the top 5, but a really good performance from the 83. We got some congratulations from Dawson and Mama Goose in the chat. Everybody is very excited, and we got to thank you for not picking him for the race win, and I promise you, I came darn close in the end. I'm glad I didn't. The commentator's jinx will not play in effect tonight, but I will say my race pick did come home for second, so it could have certainly been worse. Here he comes to take the checkered flag, and we're going to get ready for his race interview. Brett's always really quick on the mic. He's quick hopping onto Skype, so we will get set, get ready here, and here go the Victory Donuts. Brett Guzik, back-to-back weeks, is your winner in the Bandit Racing League, and that's got to feel pretty darn good for a guy that was really good early on in the season, but had a couple unfortunate results that kind of put him a little ways back there in the point standings, but corrects for it tonight and is your winner here at Atlanta. Make that your second two-time race winner of the season. Getting ready to go here for your final interviews. As you see again, the 04 car doing some burnouts on the start-finish line, and here we go. Is he about ready? Looks like we are getting close. But yeah, just again, it was a really fun race. I don't think at any point he was the flat-out dominant car by a mile. I don't think anybody was, but at the end of the day there, he just made the better calls, didn't make those mistakes on pit road, which more than anything I think was the crucial element, because that was kind of the common through line tonight. Nobody could seem to keep it at a reasonable pace coming down pit road, and he was one of the lucky few. So here we go. We are about ready to go here, folks, for your interview. Remember, it's going to be 3 race interviews for first, second, and third place. We'll talk to Benjamin Lacy, Nick Nickerson, and here we are. Mr. Brett Guzik will pull him in the broadcast booth and get us started for your pre-race here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Here we are. Let's pull him in. Brett Guzik, it is Marshall and Chris up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I've got you guys.
Brett, we talked to you last week first, and we're talking to you again this week. Back-to-back wins for that 04 car. That is what you like to see if you're one of the many Brett Guzik fans watching tonight, and you do so in a little bit of a different way from last week. Tonight it was all about strategy. You had a call. We were actually questioning that final decision to wait a little bit longer to take those tires, but you did it. You played it to perfection. You caught up, and I want to know what the reasoning was there. Well, you were always off strategy a little bit tonight. Were you confident in your game plan, and did you stick to it even when everybody thought it was best to do something else?
Yeah, I don't think, I guess many people knew what they really wanted to do, so I just kind of stuck to something that seemed like it would pay off for most of the race. You know, I was just trying to limit my exposure out there. Exposure meaning like, you know, just trying not to get stuck a lap down or something silly or whatever. So I just tried to like limit how much time I was behind people, try to not go a lap down because of a caution coming out or something like that. So I just tried to do that. So we pitted for fuel only that first stop. We pitted, I think, with everybody that second one. And then it was really just up to whenever you wanted to pit at the end and which part of that split you wanted to pit on, whether you wanted to go, you know, 2 or 3 laps early or you wanted to go 2 or 3 laps late. I ended up going somewhere around 4 or 5 laps after that split line or that halfway mark in the last stint, and that's ultimately what prevailed. I actually felt like I was a goner there because I actually missed pit road, you know, coming to that last sequence there, and I thought Lacy was gonna get me, but apparently they all used up their tires and he was getting held up there, and it allowed me to capitalize on it. Once I got to him, unfortunately, I'm not proud of it. I got into Ashley there, not really proud of that. I didn't really mean to, you know, drive in there as tough as I did, I would say. But I just kind of squeezed my way in there, and it kind of got squeezed there, and we kind of all went our separate ways. It seemed like after that.
Yeah.
So I'm not proud of that, but we still got around Lacy, and we got to the checker flag first, and that's what we tried to do. So.
Yeah, very well put, very well summarized, and yeah, I think tonight I compared it to a chess game a couple times. The various strategies, but also just the way that the pack battling was going there, with like the subtle moves rather than the big ones. Besides that big send you had, we were talking about with Nick there. Your initial pass on the stint before, you had a great like slide job. Dale Earnhardt would have been proud of. But I'll leave it here to Chris. That was very well put. And if Chris, if you have any questions for Brett for tonight's winner's interview, now's your chance.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, what it was like 4 weeks ago now. We were wondering when the 04 car was going to get back to victory lane. And, you went out last week, put the car back in victory lane, and here we are again. You came out in practice, best time in practice, best time in qualifying. You dropped the green flag, dropped back a little bit. I know the package is the way it is, but nonetheless, the 04 car showing up each and every week now. Is this something that we can, expect to see going forward, or now that you have your ticket punch to the playoffs, are you going to kind of just play a little bit conservative and just kind of let it ride out?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm doing anything different really, but whatever is happening is doing pretty well right now, so I'm just going to try and keep it going as best I can. We've got a dirt race coming up, we've got a Charlotte coming up, we've got a road course coming up, so should be pretty fun, especially that dirt race. I'll be happy about that.
Yeah, really interesting couple weeks we have. I want to make a clarification on the schedule that I said earlier. I said Bristol Dirt was next week. That's incorrect. It's Charlotte Oval next week, a track relatively similar to Atlanta, just not quite as bad on tires next week. And then the week after is Bristol Dirt, and then it is Road America. So a couple fun weeks in here, a lot of different racetracks, but all ones that I think, Brett, you could be really good at. Remember a few years back, you were the winner at one of our dirt races, if memory serves. So it's a couple fun weeks to schedule there. So maybe for tonight's kind of wrap up for winner's interview, obviously, shout out if you want to give a shout out to your fans and everybody watching at home. You got obviously Dawson, your mom, everybody out there is supporting there in the YouTube chat, but also any sponsors, anything you want to mention, but also maybe mention maybe a track you're looking forward to in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, like I said, just really looking forward to the dirt race, a couple of them short tracks that are coming up. Charlotte's actually probably one of my most dreaded tracks, but I seem to be okay there, so that's probably the only one that I don't really like, I would say, on the schedule. As far as everybody watching tonight, I'd like to thank them, like to thank everybody at Full Send Racing Network, all the admins here at Bandit Racing League, Bill, for putting this on every week, Marshall, you for putting this broadcast on. Obviously you're working on it, you're getting it better. It's almost a finished product here at this point. So I'd like to thank you guys for putting this on every week.
Amazing. I really, really appreciate it. And clearly the best finished product in the Bandit Racing League is whatever you're doing on the racetrack. It's, 2 weeks in a row, first back-to-back winner of the season, and one of the only 2 multiple race winners so far this year. Keep doing what you're doing, Brett. We're all supporting you here at home, and there you go. Round us off with some more donuts, and we will talk to you in the future, I'm sure of it.
Thanks.
Thanks, sir. There you go. Big congrats to Mr. Brett Guzik for another awesome performance, and again, going back-to-back here, 2 weeks in a row. We haven't seen a back-to-back win here in the Bandit Racing League in a while. I'm trying to remember, in Season 10, would have been towards the back end of last season, but even then I can't, off the top of my head, name what race that would have been done in. So now we're on to our second race interview of the night. Your second place finisher, my pick for the night, who came very darn close to a top of the podium spot, but it was pretty close for Benjamin. I was interesting the way Brett was talking about how he thought he might get him with the mistake on pit road there, but towards the end it was actually staying with him. So maybe we'll talk to Benjamin here, see what his thoughts were, and maybe see if he thought he had a chance with a couple more laps. We'll bring him up in the broadcast booth and go into our second interview of the night. Mr. Benjamin Lacy, it is Marshall and Chris up in the broadcast booth. You get a copy?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Welcome, Ben. It was a great race from you out there. I just want to say, first of all, you were my race pick for the night, so clearly the commentator's jinx didn't play too large of a factor like it did for some other guys. But no, it was a great performance in the 7 car. Obviously, the big storyline of the season these last couple weeks has been new winners each and every week. We thought it was going to be another one tonight with that little slip up there from Brett in the pits. Just in the end, those new tires for Brett were too powerful, but you kept him honest. You were close on pace. Do you have any regrets over the final strategy call? Do you think maybe more tires would have given you a better shot at the win? Just what was it that kept you from the podium?
Honestly, I think what was it, that 7-8 lap battle with Ashley? I think maybe if we could have cleared her within 1 or 2 laps, then maybe we could have had a shot at holding Brett down. Hindsight's obviously a 2020 thing, but or maybe just pitting. I think we pit on lap like 93 or 94, one around there. Maybe if we had waited till like 96 or 97, maybe that would have made a little difference. But I mean, it worked out for Brett. Congrats to him on a good strategy call there, and it was a good racing with Ashley too.
Yeah, and just generally speaking, I mean, tonight's race there were so many different little storylines in it, but the pack racing was incredible. You in that big battle at the end between you, yourself, Nick, Ashley, everybody up there. You guys, if Brett was out of the equation, I think it would have been a really good fight there. Did you feel confident that your pace, maybe pre-race, was going to be equal to some of these top guys that are usually pretty quick at the intermediates? And were you at all surprised with how much pace you seem to have there at the end? Where, yeah, I think if we went to the finish, you were going to have a handle on them.
These cars, it equals out a lot of stuff. Draft is pretty key, pretty important. I don't want to sound arrogant of myself, but I feel like I can come out and compete for the most part, pretty much at every track. Obviously there are some tracks that are better than others. Atlanta's always been a track that I enjoy going to, so I felt like I could come out and compete for a win. Didn't qualify as well as I wanted to. I felt like I left a little bit out there on that, but it's just the nature of the way this track is. There's a lot of pack racing to it, and the draft is pretty strong, pretty key to it. Like, it's pretty difficult to catch, a 2-car trail when you're by yourself out there. Fresh tires or not. That was, maybe that could have played a little bit too, because I know Nick and Ashley were pretty much in tandem there for a while, and I was kind of by myself having to track them down on fresh tires, so maybe I had to burn up my stuff a little bit more to get up to them than I wanted to, but had to get there one way or the other. But it's just a fun competitive field that we have. There's like you say, we could have had a different winner tonight, and I feel like next week could be the exact same thing. So it's especially with this car, it kind of opens up that playing field a lot more.
Well, speaking of next week and the weeks coming up, we have in the schedule for the next 3 races, we go to 3 very different racetracks. We got Charlotte, then we got Bristol Dirt, and then we got Road America to cap off that kind of triple header of just crazy races. What's looking appealing to that 7 car? Obviously I think you're the best car, I would say, right now as far as how close you've gotten, except for maybe Christopher Hamilton to not get that win yet. So what's it looking like? What track are you feeling most confident we should keep an eye on you for?
Bristol Dirt's that's an interesting. I've done some dirt racing, on go-karts and stuff. So I mean, probably not going to translate over to this car at all. Obviously, it's not real life, but Road America is probably something I feel like I can probably go out and do pretty decent at. Obviously, there's Nick, but I feel like I can compete probably for a top 5 there. Charlotte, similar to Atlanta, so hopefully can go out there and perform well too. But time will tell. We'll see.
Amazing. Well, I'll leave it to my co-commentator, Chris, if you got any more questions for Benjamin.
Ben, I just got to say, last week you were my pick to win at Dover. You looked really strong. You've been looking really strong every single week. It's not much of a question, but just kudos to you. I just can't wait to see you get back to where you left off last season. I know you're probably putting a lot of pressure on yourself for that, but it is coming, and just hang in there, because pretty soon we'll be talking to you for the first interview of the night. I can almost bet on it. So can't wait for that interview.
Yeah, 1 week at a time, boys. 1 week at a time.
Absolutely right. I second all of Chris's thoughts entirely. And now I'll give you the opportunity. Any sponsors, any shout outs you want to mention on the car, and anything of the sort. Now's your time to do so.
Yeah, Filming the Wild, check them out. They actually just getting ready to release a new film that's going around some of the festivals about a Wolverine called The Lone Wolverine. So So yeah, give them a look on that way. If you get an opportunity to go to a film festival that's at, go check it out. Obviously youtube.com/showingthewild. Go ahead and check them out. They got some pretty cool videos out there. They actually released one here a while ago on Yellowstone. Some just cinematic views and stuff. It's really pretty, really cool. So give it a look. We've got Geezer Authentics. I think we got Mo's. Well, so I actually go to my car to see all of our sponsors, man, because I know we got a few of those on there. Apex, I'm pretty sure we got those. I can't even see my car at the moment. Let me get a better view. Perfect Shine Auto Spa. Yeah, just appreciate that. SimSport, Butt Kickers, and then we got MFRD. I appreciate the paints that they do on the car. I feel like I got everybody. I don't know that I missed someone. Oh, yeah, Full Send. You guys, appreciate you guys what you do, man. Yeah, it's a first interview of the year, I think, with you guys. So I gotta get myself up to speed on who we got as sponsors and stuff. So I appreciate all of them for what they do, and Bill and all the admins that we work with. It's super fun. Appreciate you guys.
I really appreciate it. I think it says a lot that I didn't realize this was our first interview of the season. It feels like this has happened 2 or 3 times now. So I think that says a lot about how good the year's been, but try to make sure it's not the last for a little bit. And yeah, hopefully you're right. Hopefully you'll find some dirt success. And I second all of Chris's thoughts. Hopefully we'll be talking to you as the first interview soon.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
There you go. Really, really awesome. Really fun race there from Benjamin Lacy. Again, I think if strategically things had fallen just a little bit different, I think that very well could have been the one for the driver of the number 7 to get his first win of the season, but it's instead the streak of a different driver winning the last 5 races will come to an end with tonight's race with Brett Guzik's win. But we're going to talk to another guy now. Started 3rd, finished 3rd. He's a name we talked to a lot in the broadcast booth. We haven't talked to him in the winner's circle here since his win at Sonoma, beating out the guy who won tonight's race. That is Mr. Nick Nickerson. We'll pull him up for your final interview of the night. Hey, Nick, it is Marshall and Chris up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
How's it going, man?
It's going pretty darn well, Nick, and it was another fun race tonight. We always seem to talk to you on the podium for fun races, which I think says something about the way that number 2 car drives. But tonight it wasn't the top step, and I think it always seemed like it was going to be one of yourself, Ashley, and Benjamin, or it was going to be Brett. And in the end, it was Brett. He had the strategy dice, the cosmic dice roll in his favor, and I think that call ended up working out in the end. But we were hearing from Benjamin a moment ago. He thinks if the battling had happened a little bit differently up front, you guys may have been able to hold off Brett. Do you think there's any truth to that statement? What do you think could have put you at the top of the podium tonight?
Oh, yeah, man. I was going to run away with this one if I didn't smack the wall whenever I did. I was doing a little bit of mirror driving and just caught the wrong line and brushed the wall, and that was the end of that. Then I can no longer be out front. I have to stay in the draft in order to keep up. So, yeah, I was running pretty good. And then, once everybody passed me, or once Ashley and I think just Ashley passed me, and then Benjamin passed me a little bit later, I was trying to help Benjamin get up there. And it's just this track, as fun of a track as it is, it just sucks because it's so hard to pass. Like there's not 2 lanes. I mean, that's just all I could say about it. Like if you're on the outside and you're fast, I mean, nobody's going to be able to pass you. And it's just, that's what the race was. And, it was so hard just trying to change to get Benjamin up there. And, everybody was wasting their tires. And then unfortunately that let Brett catch us. Brett was a lap down, I think, when he went in for tires, and he was able to drive all the way around the track and pass us because we're all battling for however long. But it's an awesome job on his part, and it's not an easy thing to do. I mean, he must have been driving pretty damn fast the whole time to go almost a full lap down with, 3/4 of a stint left to go. But yeah, man, all in all, it's a pretty fun race. But it's just, I don't know if I really like these cars too much, but it's gonna have to bite the bullet. We signed up for it, so.
That's the most pessimistic take on a car I've ever heard from the guy leading the championship in it. But what else would I expect from a good old Nick Nickerson interview? It's one of the favorites of there's something going wrong, but you always seem to manage to overcome it. Yeah, tonight another solid podium. I think the GFR Racing guys, just your entire team as a whole, maybe speak on that, because there were moments where at one point there were all 4 of you in the top 6, 3 of you leading the race, yourself, Ricky, and Kevin. and then it just seemed to fall apart there. At one point, it was, besides yourself in 8th, all your teammates are back in 19th or worse. And then you all rebounded to pretty good finishes again, except Christopher, I think season low actually in 17th, but I think that says something about how good his year's been. Just what's the team coordination like for you 4 guys right now, especially considering 2 of you have race wins. Christopher's been close, and I think Kevin's is coming soon. So does that team coordination make it easier on strategic nights like tonight?
Yeah, we're all bad fast. But again, when it comes down to these cars and just being in the front at the right time. And tonight I think I was the only one that didn't go on the strategy of trying to save a set of tires for the yellow that would come at the ends, which we all thought was going to happen. I went in, just got my last set of tires with like 30 to go, to see if it'd play out, and it played out more in my favor than it did anybody else. But had there been a yellow, I bet every single one of those guys would have been probably battling for a first position. I guarantee it. But yeah, I mean, as a team, man, every single week we have good speed, but it's just being there at the front on the closing laps. That's the hard part.
Awesome. I will leave it to Chris. If Chris, you got any questions for a guy that we've talked to quite a bit here in the broadcast booth, and I'm sure we'll talk to you plenty more times. But any specific questions for tonight?
Yeah, sometimes I struggle to ask this guy any questions about his racecraft, but one thing that did come up in the broadcast that I've noticed with racing you over the past couple seasons and being in the broadcast booth is you absolutely kill people on pit road. You destroy people on pit road, and I'm just wondering if you don't want your little secret out of the bag there, that's fine. But I'm just wondering where because even your teammates, you're so much faster than. So there's something that Nick Nickerson's doing that the rest of the field isn't, as far as pit road. So if you could shed a little light on that, because I mean, every single time we do a green flag pit stop cycle here, you're like 5 seconds to the good on the next guy.
I mean, I don't know if I can really pinpoint anything. It's just getting onto pit road as quick as I can without getting a black flag, which doesn't always work. I'm probably at like a 99%, success rate. But that's the biggest thing, is just not trying to get off the track onto pit road as fast as possible. And usually I'm crossing the pit lane at going like, if the speed limit is 50, I'm probably crossing it going like 60 miles an hour, but with my brakes locked up. So, and then, praying that I don't get a black flag. But, and then the other part, I guess, would be leaving the pit box is, just good clutch work and making sure you don't spin the tires. Because once you spin the tires, you lose so much time. But, I mean, other than that, man, there's not much else that I'm doing that'd be different. It's just, getting onto pit road is probably the hardest part. And yeah, you just kind of have to practice that a little bit.
Awesome. Well, with that, we will let you do your usual thing. Any sponsors, any fans that are watching at home you want to mention, anything like that, to do, now's your chance.
Yeah, man. I guess everybody that's watching, and appreciate you guys for doing the broadcast, and good old sponsors: Big Red Propane, Sueno Diazzo, Advanced Auto Parts, XL Parts, VIP Auto Glass, Perfect Shine Auto Spa, Apex Sim Racing, Clutch Automotive, and I think that's it, man.
Heck yeah.
Go to bed.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll let you jump off here, Nick. Great job tonight. Great performance. Yeah, we wish things could have ended a little bit differently for you, but you know what to do for next time. You know what mistakes to avoid, and you got some good tracks coming up in Road America in a few weeks. So I think it's a bright future for the 2-car for the rest of the regular season, and I'm sure, as Chris said, we'll be talking to you soon. We'll try to come up with some questions in advance for you.
Sounds good, man. Well, I'll talk to you guys soon.
Talk to you soon.
Later.
And there you go. We thank, as always, Mr. Nick Nickerson for joining us in the broadcast booth. Certainly not his first time. I'm going to bring us straight into our series partners here before we get into our final kind of wrap-up and head off for the night. We want to thank all of our series sponsors who help us put on races like the Geezer Authentics 125 at Atlanta here each and every week on the Full Send Racing Network, my channel that we use to broadcast the Bandit Racing League. First of all, I want to thank iRacing, the sim that allows us to put on the Bandit Racing League each and every week. Apex Sim Racing, your place to go for all things sim racing accessories. If you want to get involved in racing on a more professional level, if you want to get as close as you can to the real thing in the virtual world, then you go to Apex Sim Racing to save some money if you use our code in the description. But you can get some awesome wheels, pedals, button boxes, and various kind of add-ons to your sim. All sorts of really great stuff. Go check out ApexSimRacing.com. Link in the description below this stream. Perfect Shine Autospot, as always, through the GFR Racing team. We thank Perfect Shine Autospot, and their stuff in their link to their social media is down below as well. Track Hipster Gourmets is your place for all things custom track cameras for iRacing. They are what we use for these awesome shots, like this random one of the Medevac helicopter you see in the background right now, but they give us the awesome dynamic camera angles that make this broadcast really come alive, and we thank them for what they do. Be sure to check out their link below to use their services and to get a license of your own. Just make sure you get official permission courtesy of the creator for using for broadcast purposes. EvanWallMedia.com is our guy who makes all of our graphics for our series and also does all sorts of cool documentary stuff in his own time. Go to EvanWallMedia.com to check out his services as well as the cool stuff he's doing in his own personal time and the awesome short track documentaries he's making as well. Then finally, we have Butt Kicker, who make really, really awesome products to add some bass shakers to your setup, whether it be for shakers for pedals or more specifically often used for seat vibration. Really, really cool way to add almost a fourth dimension to your racing sim. Awesome product, and they are the sponsor of our many butt-kicking worthy replays. We thank them for sponsoring the series. And finally, Moza Racing, making some of the best wheels on the market. Only good reviews I've ever heard about Moza Racing, and you can also check out their stuff in the link below. And be sure to use our link to go check out their products, courtesy of Bandit, and support the series. And finally, your sponsor for tonight's race, GeezerAuthentics.com. If you want to get some awesome Bandit Racing League merchandise, and if you want to contribute back to the Drivers Points Fund, and support our series and get yourself some really slick merchandise at a low cost, go check out GeezerAuthentics.com. Link is in the description below. And I mentioned some drivers earlier, but guys like the Haggies, the Fosters, Ricky Hart, Nick Nickerson, any number of drivers, Mark Helen Bivens, countless. You can go check it out, or David Lakey, Hayden Paul. I'm running out of names to mention, but go check it out, see if your favorite driver has some merch you can buy, as well as the new Bandit Racing League logo merch, which comes in hats, shirts, pants, a number of various things, and SimRacerHub.com as well, who allow us to post our official stats and sort of our telemetry keeper here for all things Bandit Racing League. With that, I'm going to throw it to you, Chris, to wrap us up here at Atlanta. Really fun race. We thank you for coming in as always. I know you're feeling a little bit under the weather, but doing great tonight. It's awesome to have you here, and I think it was well worth the price of admission for a really fascinating finish.
Yeah, I mean, I think Atlanta always puts on a good show, and it's a really great track. I mean, the newer one, people have their own thoughts and reservations about, but I do enjoy Atlanta in its current state as well. So nonetheless, yeah, I think that is exactly what we needed tonight. It was a relatively quick race for a mile and a half. I know they've kind of been all over the place up to this point in the season with this package, but it was a relatively quick race for us, I would say. And the varying strategies was something that I was looking to see. We haven't really seen that since Sonoma. The yellow flags have all fallen in the right time for everybody to be, for the most part, on the same strategy. But to see the battle of strategies and the drivers work their strategy, that was really fun to watch. And it ended up working out. I mean, Brett had to fight back there to get back to the lead with about 8 laps to go after coming back from a 16-second deficit. I mean, that's wheeling that car. So kudos to him for his second straight victory. We'll see if he can keep piling those up. There's a couple tracks there that they're going to be benefit to him. So we'll have that lined up for him. But also something that's going to be lined up for him is maybe some payback from Ashley Lyle. So that's something I'm going to be keeping my eye on as we go throughout the next couple weeks here. So nonetheless, really fun week. Yeah, I can't wait for next week. That's going to be another fun one. So with that, make sure you check us out on Facebook, Bandit Racing League on Facebook, and on Instagram at Bandit Racing League for all of your series updates. Marshall, thank you again for having me. It's always fun to come and do this. And yeah, can't wait to see you next week.
Amazing. Me neither. We will be back here same time, same place. We had the date and time a little bit mixed up today on the YouTube side. We'll get it fit. Well, I already fixed it throughout the course of this race, so it's fixed for next week. We'll be ready to go. Usual time, usual posting on YouTube. You know where to find us for next week's event at Charlotte, then Bristol Dirt the week after. With that, folks, this has been another episode of the Bandit Racing League, season number 11 in the 7th round of the year, won by Brett Guzik, who, to correct an earlier stat, gets his 5th pole of the season and then moves it into his second win of the year. For that, I am Marshall Crocker. Joining alongside me is Chris Ferreira. This has been the Bandit Racing League coverage from the Full Send Racing Network. Have a great week, ladies and gentlemen, and we will see you all next week at Charlotte Motor Speedway.